Chapter 3005. One of them was the white-robed Great Elder. Beside him wasn't a person, but a pair of eyes. This pair of eyes carried with them law runes, seeming as if they could see through all. Under this pair of eyes, the first elder appeared to be extremely respectful. "Peak Master, these two little fellows were just exchanging pointers. How did they disturb you?" The Great Elder bowed. Those eyes shined with a starry skylight. A soul fluctuation spread out. "This little fellow is quite interesting. His talent and potential are decent. I wonder what his combat strength is like?" The Great Elder said. According to his estimations, his strength should be above 50,000. But as for how much, he didn't know. However, compared to this Situ Xiaotian, he might be at a slight disadvantage. But as long as Lin Xian was given enough time, he would be able to surpass Situ Xiaotian in just a few years. After all, he was the descendant of the Great Dragon. The descendant of the Great Dragon had unparalleled potential. If he was properly nurtured, he would absolutely become the #1 person of Full Moon Peak in the future. At that time, it might even be possible for him to surpass the Northern Monster. It could be seen that the Great Elder attached great importance to Lin Xian. He wanted to raise him as the #1 person of his generation. However, listening to the Great Elder's words, it seemed he was looking forward to Lin Xian's future. But he didn't believe that Lin Xian would be able to gain the upper hand in this battle. On the side, the pair of eyes that carried with them the laws emitted soul fluctuations. "I don't think so. I feel that the one to lose this time might be Situ Xiaotian." Hearing this, the white-robed Great Elder was shocked. He knew just how strong Situ Xiaotian was. Although Lin Xian's potential was limitless, what about now? He didn't know. He narrowed his eyes and looked down. Below, Lin Xian held his hands behind his back and coldly said, "Make your move. Let me see just what qualifications you have to dare snatch my spot." He stared at Situ Xiaotian. Situ Xiaotian sneered. "Fine, let me teach you a lesson. You brat who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Do you need me to give you 3 moves? Give me 3 moves? I fear that after 3 moves, you won't have the life to fight." Lin Xian coldly snorted. Although the other party was powerful, he was not invincible. In front of him, the other party did not have the qualifications to be arrogant. Moreover, Lin Xian did not intend to drag this out any longer. He raised his large golden hand and slammed it forward. The golden palm shone like the sun and was incomparably sharp. It turned into a golden mountain and shrouded the area below. Everywhere it passed, the void would distort and shatter. From this, one could see how powerful this power was. Acting recklessly, "How dare you take the initiative to attack me?" Situ Xiaotian was enraged. He hadn't even made a move yet, but the other party had already impatiently attacked. What? Could it be that the other party really thought that he could compete with him? His hand clenched into a fist, releasing mysterious symbols, blasting forward. With a loud clang, it collided with the golden palm. Hundreds and thousands of cracks appeared in the sky. The terrifying power caused the hearts of the surrounding monstrous geniuses to shudder. However, in the next moment, their eyes were filled with shock. They discovered that although Situ Xiaotian's fist managed to block the golden palm, it was enveloped by countless golden flames and began to burn. Soon, it turned into ashes and disappeared into the sky. Situ Xiaotian's fist had been broken. Everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't dare to believe it, although they knew that it was just a casual punch from Situ Xiaotian. However, it wasn't something that could be easily broken by just anyone. One could imagine that Lin Xian was stronger than they had imagined. "Interesting. I wonder if you can handle my next attack?" Lin Fan thought to himself. Milky Way Meteor Fist. Buzz. Situ Xiaotian's fist bloomed with light, shattering the void. The terrifying power was incomparable. Everywhere it passed, everything was shattered. Nothing could withstand it. As soon as the Milky Way Meteor Fist was unleashed, it brought about a phenomenon in the surroundings. The entire sky was completely covered by countless meteors. The golden palm buzzed and the light on it dimmed. Seeing this scene, the followers looked up to the sky and laughed. "Ha ha ha ha, this kid's 9 young divine body is only a..." In front of senior brother Situ, he didn't have the qualifications to be arrogant. 9 suns split the sky. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He raised his arm, and terrifying balls of flames erupted from his palm. They turned into a huge flaming sword that soared into the sky. This aura caused the laughter of the surrounding people to instantly stop. Their hearts trembled, and their eyelids twitched wildly. A sense of fear arose in their hearts. They discovered that this aura was so sharp that it made their bodies tremble. This seemed to be the nine-yang sword technique. He could actually cultivate the nine-yang sword technique to such a level. The surrounding monstrous geniuses were also shocked. Buzz, buzz. The huge flaming sword danced in the sky like a fire dragon, covering the sky and the earth. The entire sky was completely covered by a sea of fire. Boom, boom. The meteors that filled the sky were split apart by the sword. If this is all you have, then you can get lost. This spot isn't yours yet. Lin Xian's thunderous voice resounded through the surroundings. The surrounding people were stunned. Situ Xiaoyan's face completely darkened. He realized that he had really underestimated his opponent. The strength that Situ Xiaotian displayed was definitely above 50,000 Archean power. And it seemed that Situ Xiaotian wasn't weaker than him. Thinking of this, he snorted coldly, and a cold light appeared in his eyes. Mysterious runes appeared on his body one after another. Crack, crack. His entire right arm seemed to have turned into a bronze arm. A ferocious aura burst forth from the arm. Bloodline power. Seeing this scene, the surrounding monstrous geniuses' expressions changed. They didn't expect Situ Xiaotian to directly use his bloodline power. It seemed that he was really angry. Sure enough, as Situ Xiaotian's hand moved, the entire space trembled as if it couldn't withstand this power. The surrounding monstrous geniuses also quickly retreated with incomparably solemn expressions. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Bloodline power? He could indeed feel a monstrous aura from Situ Xiaotian's right hand that could destroy everything. No wonder he dared to snatch his spot. Situ Xiaotian was indeed somewhat capable. Situ Xiaotian's means were above Hua Muzhin's. Boom! The giant bronze hand reached out and grabbed at Lin Xian. It was like a mountain, and rumbling sounds could be heard. The entire world trembled. Lin Xian didn't dodge. He still activated nine suns, split the heavens, and slashed forward. In the sky, the sea of fire surged, and a sword light descended from the sky. The bronze hand collided with nine suns, split the heavens, producing a deafening sound. When the two collided, 100,000 lightning bolts descended. The bronze hand was too strange. Bronze runes appeared one after another on it, and it actually blocked nine suns, split the heavens. It blocked it. Lin Xian was also surprised. What a terrifying bloodline power. The bronze hand was indeed extraordinary. The surrounding people snorted coldly. Lin Xian was going to be at a disadvantage. Chapter 3006. That's right, the bronze hand wasn't just for show. It was an ancient technique. Coupled with Situ Xiaoyan's bloodline power, it was absolutely heaven-defying. As he spoke, countless runes formed on the bronze hand and quickly formed a powerful force that sent nine suns split the sky flying. Not only that, Situ Xiaotian shouted coldly and punched out 9 times in a row. The flaming sword chi trembled and eventually dimmed and cracks appeared on it. Was it broken? Hee. 9 suns split the sky was the ultimate move of the 9 sun sword technique. But now, it couldn't withstand the bronze hand. This kid was indeed no match for Situ Xiaotian. That was natural. As long as Situ Xiaotian was serious, he could definitely kill this kid easily. The surrounding geniuses sneered. Situ Xiaotian's eyes shone brightly. The bronze hand reached down and completely shattered 9 suns, split the sky before grabbing at Lin Xian. It seemed that he wanted to suppress Lin Xian. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As the hand fell, a violent wind blew. The surrounding space shattered and black holes appeared one after another. It was truly terrifying. Lin Xian frowned. He didn't expect that the other party would have such an ultimate technique that could repel his 9 suns split the sky. In the next moment, he snorted and waved his hand, pulling out the fire Qilin sword. He stabbed out with his sword. Buzz. Tens of thousands of sword chi slashed out in all directions. It's useless. You can't escape. The bronze hand was like a sky that pressed down and completely enveloped Lin Xian. Boom, boom, boom. In the end, the bronze hand fell and covered Lin Xian's figure. The surrounding space shattered, forming a cage that completely suppressed Lin Xian. That brat had been sealed. Ha 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 ha. I told you. He's no match for senior brother Situ. Someone like him wants to go to the full moon lake? Dream on. Cold laughter sounded. The surrounding geniuses were also shocked. It seemed that the successor of the great dragon Sword Soul couldn't do it either. Yes, although he was the successor of the great dragon Sword Soul, if he wanted to fight against Situ Xiaotian, he would have to cultivate for a few more years. Situ Xiaotian was equally pleased with himself. He waved his hand as if he wanted to lift Lin Xian up. However, in the next instant, his expression changed. An enormous pain came from his palm. Buzz, buzz, countless sword lights flashed, and the bronze hand below let out cracking sounds. In an instant, it was chopped into pieces. A figure walked out from the shattered bronze palm. What? It was broken? Everyone's pupils shrank as if they had seen a ghost. They didn't expect that Lin Xian would actually walk out. That was the bronze hand. How did he break it? The bronze hand contained an extremely powerful bloodline power. It was comparable to a semi-sage tool. So, how had the other party done it? At this moment, they looked at Lin Xian, their bodies trembling slightly. Situ Xiaotian's face was also ferocious. He retracted his palm, his complexion extremely ugly. What, do you want to continue? Lin Xian asked coldly. Although it had only been a few short moves, Situ Xiaotian had suffered a great loss. This undoubtedly showed that this newcomer was very strong. He was ridiculously strong. This fellow was not bad. He was actually able to break through the bronze hand. As expected of the descendant of the great dragon, that sword was too sharp. They didn't expect that Situ Xiaotian would suffer a loss at the other party's hands. If the other party was so strong now, who knew how heaven-defying he would be in the future? Could it be that this was another existence comparable to Misty Peak's northern monster? Everyone discussed spiritedly. They all felt the pressure. And it was an enormous pressure. If this person grew up in the future, he would definitely be a supreme overlord. He was strong, but compared to the northern monster, he was far too lacking. That's right, the northern monster cultivated near Misty Lake all year round. Moreover, it was said that he had already comprehended the misty heavenly steel. With that kind of strength, he was probably abnormally strong. Hearing Lin Xian's words and the surrounding discussions, Situ Xiaotian's face darkened. He revolved his bloodline power, causing the shattered bronze hand to recover once more. However, he didn't make a move. He knew that it wouldn't be easy to defeat this fellow in front of him. Perhaps he would win in the end, but he would also be seriously injured. Moreover, it wasn't certain whether he could completely suppress the other party. I didn't expect that I would misjudge you. I'll let you off this time, but in the future, I'll come back for you. Situ Xiaotian gritted his teeth. Everyone exclaimed. Although Situ Xiaotian had spoken ruthlessly, it seemed that he had given up on fighting for a spot this time. This was truly a surprise. It wasn't easy to make Situ Xiaotian give up. At this moment, Su Qin's strength was imprinted in everyone's hearts. Suddenly, a light snort came from the sky. Following that, a figure tore through the void and descended. Seeing this figure, everyone's hearts shook. Then, they respectfully shouted, greeting the first elder. That's right, the person who came was the white-clothed first elder. After the first elder landed, he didn't say anything. The surrounding people were puzzled and looked up. In the next moment, they trembled and then their voices became even more respectful. Greetings, Peak Master. That's right, they saw a pair of eyes. A pair of godlike eyes looking down at them. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were equally shocked. They also saw the pair of godlike eyes. Especially Lin Xian, he was even more surprised. There was a mysterious power in the other party's eyes that far surpassed them. This was the power of law. The Crimson Dragon was surprised. He didn't expect the Full Moon Peak's Peak Master to be a sage. This little guy's strength was beyond his expectations. The godlike eyes emitted a soul fluctuation. Peak Master, you flatter me. This is just a small trick. I've embarrassed myself in front of you. Lin Xian cupped his fists and said. The godlike eyes continued to emit fluctuations. All right, since no one has any objections, you can go to the full moon lake to cultivate. This time, you have half a day. Lin Xian clenched his fists, and a touch of excitement appeared in his eyes. Finally, he could enter the full moon lake. Well, let him see how much the full moon lake could improve him. Under everyone's envious gaze, Lin Xian soared into the sky, turned into a stream of light, and flew toward the full moon lake in front of him. Throughout the entire process, he felt that the array formation around him was quickly dissipating. It was obvious that the peak master had removed the array formation. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to enter the full moon lake. Plop. Lin Xian fell into the lake, causing countless splashes. In the next moment, his figure disappeared from everyone's sight. They wondered how many waves this little guy could create. The Grand Elder looked expectant. Hearing this, the surrounding geniuses began to discuss. This guy is very talented. I think he should be able to create 5 waves. No, I think he should be able to create at least 6 waves. Can't you guys guess more? 7 waves. Stop fooling around. Back when the North Demon entered the ethereal lake, he only created 7 waves. Could this kid be like the North Demon? Chapter 3007. The Crimson Dragon also understood what was going on. It turned out that after a cultivator entered the full moon lake, they would form a reaction with the energy inside. Waves would form on the surface of the lake. The more waves one formed, the higher one's talent and the greater one's future achievements would be. It seemed that when the North Monster entered the Misty Lake, he had caused 7 waves. This made the Crimson Dragon look forward to it. It wondered what kind of scene this kid could cause. Lin Xian did not know what everyone was talking about. At this moment, he had already entered the full moon lake. After entering, he exclaimed in a low voice. The energy inside was too pure. He did not even need to deliberately absorb it. The energy would enter his body. Cultivating here for a day, no, 2 hours, was comparable to cultivating outside for 100 years. Lin Xian was wild with joy. His eyes shone with a piercing light. He formed a seal with his palms and instantly summoned the Great Dragon Sword Soul. The Great Dragon Sword Soul turned into a dragon and circled around him, quickly absorbing the energy inside. At the same time, Lin Xian used the longevity art. At the same time, he circulated the 9 Yang Bodies cultivation technique and quickly cultivated. He did not have much time. He only had half a day, so he could not waste any of it. Boom, boom, boom. Just as Lin Xian was silently cultivating, outside, a violent wind blew on the surface of the lake. The void cracked open, and lightning descended. It was a phenomenon of heaven and earth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 waves surged in the sky, as if they could extinguish everything. Everyone gasped in surprise. The 5 waves appeared almost instantaneously. This kind of scene was truly astonishing. This kid was so powerful. He could instantly activate 5 waves. Would he be able to continue? Perhaps that was his limit. Not necessarily. After waiting for a while, the 6th wave rose into the sky. Everyone exclaimed again. He wondered if there would be a 7th wave. They continued to wait. This time, the wait was longer. However, a large crack appeared in the sky as if the entire sky had been split into 2. The 7th wave rose into the sky again. It appeared. The 7th wave really appeared. Heavens, this guy is comparable to the North Monster. His future achievements are definitely limitless. Those people were amazed. Situ Xiaoyan's eyelids twitched. Their full moon peak actually had an existence comparable to the North Fey. In the next moment, these people were stunned. They noticed that after the 7th wave, an 8th wave had actually condensed. The 8th level, it actually appeared. These people screamed. The elders were also extremely shocked. His opponent had actually surpassed the North Demon. This was simply too unbelievable. The news spread quickly and soon spread to the full moon peak. The misty peak was shrouded in mist. At this moment, countless teleportation portals were activated, and news came one after another. Everyone in Misty Peak was shocked as well. What? Someone actually surpassed the North Yao? Misty Lake. Qing Wu sat there cross-legged, her small face somewhat cold. She held a purple array disc in her hand. Runes flickered on its surface, and a message floated over. It was the news of Lin Xian triggering the 7-layered waves. This news caused Qing Wu to be extremely shocked. Damn it, this guy is actually able to trigger the 7-layered waves. How is this possible? One had to know that the only person who could cause the 7-fold wave was her brother. However, the other party was also able to do this. It was really shocking. After pouting for a long time, Qing Wu took a deep breath and waved her jade-like hand, sending the message into the array disk. Brother, let me tell you a piece of news. That despicable guy has entered the full moon lake. Moreover, he even triggered the 7-layered waves. He's actually the same as you. After the news was sent out, Qing Wu waited patiently. After a while, the array disk flickered and countless runes floated out. Along with it was the voice of the North Demon. I didn't expect this guy to be so talented. I really didn't misjudge him. In the future, he will be the opponent that I'm most interested in. The North Demon's voice was a little excited. Qing Wu was panting with anger. Don't worry, brother. That guy is definitely not your opponent. You've already left him far behind. Unless he cultivates for another 500 years, he won't have a chance to catch up to you. As soon as she finished speaking, Qing Wu was stunned, because another array disk beside her had sent a message. Not good, Miss Qing Wu. That guy has triggered the 8-layered waves. With a clang, the array disk in Qing Wu's hand fell to the ground. She stood up and screamed. What? The 8-layered waves? Are you sure? I'm sure. The voice on the array disk was also filled with shock. For a moment, Qing Wu threw it there. Not to mention her, the people of Full Moon Peak were also stunned. When the people of Exquisite Peak and Divine Strategy Peak heard the news, they were also in an uproar. They really didn't expect that Lin Xian would cause such a commotion not long after he entered Full Moon Peak. The 8-layered waves had already surpassed the North Demon. One had to know that the North Demon had also triggered the 7-layered waves back then. On Ethereal Lake's side, Qing Wu gritted her teeth. She hurriedly picked up the array disk and quickly sent a voice transmission. Brother, this is bad. That guy actually triggered the 8-layered waves. After sending the voice transmission, Qing Wu waited nervously. This time, it took even longer before the North Demon's voice came. The 8-layered waves. I didn't expect this guy's talent to be so good, to be able to trigger the 8-layered waves. The North Demon's voice was also incomparably solemn. It was obvious that the 8-layered waves had also shocked him. That was because it had already surpassed him. Don't worry, brother. So what if he's talented? He's still so weak now. Perhaps he'll be killed by others the moment he enters the stellar realm. The array rotated and countless runes formed an illusion. It looked exactly like the North Demon. The moment the illusion appeared, it stared at Qing Wu and shook its head slightly. You can't be careless. This guy isn't someone who will die so easily. According to what I know, he's not a flower in a greenhouse. He's experienced the harshest of storms and fought his way up from the lowest level. Everything he has today is because he worked hard bit by bit. You will be able to obtain this information if you go and collect some information. Therefore, don't underestimate him. This guy might really become the second Yigu Cheng. Yigu Cheng, the name of the 3rd-generation successor of the Dragon Sword. He was a peerless genius back then. He entered the House of Prodigies and comprehended the full moon wordless steel. He was so strong that he swept through the 8 desolates. No one was his match. However, he was surrounded and killed by countless powerful geniuses on the final ancient path of the stars. That battle was earth-shattering. Blood flowed. It was even rumored that in the end, even the saints took action. Even so, they couldn't do anything to Yigu Cheng. Yigu Cheng fought with a group of heaven-defying geniuses, including the saints. He killed a path of blood. In the end, a few saints joined forces and killed Yigu Cheng. As for the result of that battle, other than Yigu Cheng's death, all the monstrous geniuses who attacked were basically killed. Even among the sages, 1 or 2 of them had perished. That was only an invincible king. Chapter 3008. This was also the greatest pain of Full Moon Peak. If Yigu Cheng had grown into a saint at that time, he probably wouldn't have fallen. Hearing this ancient legend again, Qingwu's body trembled slightly. Brother, you can't be saying that this kid will really walk on the path of Senior Yigu Cheng, right? He can't succeed. Senior Yigu Cheng is not only the successor of the Great Dragon, but he also has an extremely strong Azure Dragon bloodline. Although this kid is strong, he doesn't have the bloodline power. Moreover, Senior Yigu Cheng condensed the 9 heavy waves back then. Moreover, he comprehended the full moon wordless steel. If it wasn't for the short time he comprehended it, he wouldn't have fallen. Perhaps he would have completely comprehended the full moon wordless steel. Qingwu didn't believe that this hateful kid in front of him could be compared with the famous Yigu Cheng. Not only him, but the entire extraordinary scholar mansion was talking about it, especially Full Moon Peak. Many old figures appeared, their bodies trembling. They stared at the full moon lake. There was a trace of expectation in their hearts. Lin Xian was also the successor of the Great Dragon. Could Lin Xian create a second miracle? Around the full moon lake, Situ Xiaotian and the others were stunned. The Great Elder's face was also full of shock. In the sky, the saint's eyes were also flickering. Inside the full moon lake, Lin Xian sat cross-legged at the bottom of the lake. The surrounding energy enveloped him. At the same time, opposite him, the Great Dragon's sword soul was also enveloped by countless energy and quickly absorbed. Time was almost up. Lin Xian opened his eyes. He only had half a day here, and more than half had already passed. However, what made him happy was that the Great Dragon's sword soul opposite him was nourished by the energy and recovered again. At this moment, the Great Dragon's sword soul bared its fangs and brandished its claws. The fierce power on it made even Lin Xian, who had the 9 yang divine body, tremble slightly. This power could easily pierce through a powerhouse with 60,000 archaic power, right? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. This kind of powerful attack power would be Lin Xian's biggest trump card. At the same time, Lin Xian's divine body was also glowing. He had already reached the 4th layer of the 9 yang divine body. With so much energy, his 9 yang divine body had increased once again. Although he did not break through to the 5th level, he had reached an unbelievable level. He felt that there weren't many attacks that could hurt him now. Once he broke through to the 5th level, it would signify that his physical body had reached the level of a saint. This was a qualitative leap. The fact that his body was sanctified meant that his body was comparable to a sage's. The attacks of kings could not harm him at all. It could be said that going from the 4th level to the 5th level was an extremely terrifying leap. Therefore, breaking through from the 4th layer to the 5th layer was extremely difficult. Full Moon Lake. The 8 waves spun rapidly, forming a strange phenomenon of heaven and earth. At this moment, countless figures had gathered around the full moon lake, and countless gazes were flickering. At this moment, the full moon lake already became the center of the Prodigy Manor. Other than the full moon peak, many people from the other peaks also came. After all, this scene was too terrifying. One had to know that the North Demon, the most powerful monster in the Misty Peak, had only caused 7 waves back then. But now, Lin Xian, a newcomer who had just entered, had actually caused 8 waves. How could they not be shocked? The time was almost up, and this kid should have reached his limit. Someone took a deep breath, and many people quietly wiped off their cold sweat. 8 waves was already very terrifying. Fortunately, the other party did not cause 9 waves. Otherwise, they could not imagine how surprised they would be. Look, it's actually them. They were the top few people on the Wangyue list. Someone cried out in surprise. A few figures appeared in the surroundings. They were abnormally powerful, like gods and demons. The full moon list was the ranking of the geniuses of the full moon peak. Those who could be on the full moon list were all earth-shattering figures. For example, Situ Xiaotian was on the full moon list. Of course, she couldn't even enter the top 10 of the full moon list. And this time, the ones who appeared were the top 5 on the full moon list. One of them was wearing a black robe, and there was a black aura hanging down around him, turning into one shiny rune after another, enveloping him. No one dared to approach where he was. Heimo, he was ranked 2nd. His demonic skills were monstrous, and his strength was terrifying. You're just a newcomer, and you're already in the limelight. Sooner or later, I'll kill you. The Hayamo flame bloomed with a biting cold killing intent. In his opinion, such a newcomer was simply courting death by doing such a thing. The other party did not have super strength now, but displayed super talent. He would definitely be targeted. No one would allow such a powerful genius to continue to grow. On the Great Earth Path, everyone was an enemy. Perhaps this kid would be secretly assassinated one day. Hearing Hamo's words, everyone trembled. Even Situ Shoutyan's scalp went numb. Not only was Hamo's strength terrifying, but his personality was also cruel. He would attack at the slightest disagreement. Although he would not be killed, he would be seriously injured and his strength would be greatly reduced. Therefore, no one dared to provoke Hayamo. That was interesting. Not far from Hayamo, countless blue frost revolved, forming an ice phoenix that carried a woman. This woman's name was Schwelling, and she was ranked third on the full moon peak. As she chuckled, the power of ice on her body bloomed, freezing the entire world. The bodies of the geniuses trembled as if they were about to be frozen. Damn it, this Schwelling's power of ice has become stronger again. Everyone frantically retreated again. Buzz. A beam of light illuminated the 9 heavens and 10 earths, turning into a human figure that broke the ice in the sky. It was a man in green. His face was ordinary, but his eyes were bright and had a strange light. It's him. Many people's pupils shrank. He was also a peerless genius called Yifei, ranked 4th. The moment he appeared, Schwelling, who was ranked 3rd, also narrowed her eyes. The ice on her body became even colder. She knew that this was definitely a powerful enemy. Although the other party's ranking was lower than hers, she did not dare to be careless. The other party's flying daggers never missed. A few years ago, the other party killed 13 invincible kings with 1 slash. That battle record was definitely enough to make people tremble. These people were the top geniuses of the full moon peak. Of course, the one ranked first did not come. As for the one ranked first, no one was very clear. This was because the other party was too mysterious. He often appeared and disappeared unpredictably. Other than some necessary battles, he basically did not appear. They only knew that the other party's surname was Huangfu, and his name was Beitian. Huangfu Beitian was an existence even more terrifying than Hayamo, and he was also the number 1 person on the full moon peak. It was almost time, but this kid still had not come out. Above, Hayamo frowned, extremely dissatisfied. In his opinion, the other party's potential had been exhausted, and there was no point in dragging it out. Chapter 3009. Hearing this, the others' mouths twitched, but no one dared to refute. In the distance, the eyes of the first elder and the god were fixed on the full moon lake. In fact, in the full moon lake, there were also some powerful geniuses from other mountains. Among them, there were 2 familiar figures. One was Yin Nantian. At this moment, Yin Nantian was still shrouded in a mysterious halo. He was the successor of the Arch, so when he entered, he caused quite a commotion. As for Lin Xian, he was also very serious, so this time, when Lin Xian entered the full moon lake, he also came to watch. The other one was Qing Wu. At this moment, Qing Wu was holding a disc array in her hand, and on it was the North Devil Phantom formed by runes. Brother, that kid really condensed 8 waves. Qing Wu looked at the 8 waves in front of her and gritted her teeth. The North Devil Phantom's eyes were also shining. The North Devil was using an array to watch from afar. He is indeed very strong and a difficult opponent. The North Devil laughed. Qing Wu snorted coldly. So what? Isn't it just 8 waves? He definitely won't be able to comprehend the full moon wordless steel. Boom, boom. In front of them, endless air currents rolled, and the 8 waves were even more terrifying. At the bottom of the lake, Lin Xian took a step forward and merged with the great dragon sword soul. Roar! A loud dragon roar sounded, and the entire full moon lake trembled as if it was about to split open. Not only him, but the entire space was shaking nonstop. With a boom, among the 8 waves, the 9th wave condensed and shook the 9 heavens. At this moment, the god was shocked, and everyone was stunned. The 9th wave had finally appeared. The moment the other party rushed out of the full moon lake, it appeared under his feet. How is this possible? Situ Xiaoyan's face was full of shock. Yifei's expression was serious, and Xueling was also stunned. Black Demon's face sank, and a terrifying light burst out from his eyes. 9 waves. The other party actually condensed 9 waves. It was unbelievable. One had to know that the North Devil had only condensed 7 waves. In history, only one person had condensed 9 waves. That person was Yi Gucheng. He was a powerful existence who had comprehended the full moon wordless steel. If many sages hadn't joined forces to attack him back then, he wouldn't have died. Such a person was simply a legendary existence. But now, someone had actually accomplished the same feat. Not only that, he was also a descendant of the Great Dragon, causing everyone to exclaim in shock. Would he become the second Yi Gucheng? In the distance, Yin Nantian snorted coldly. 9 ancient emperor runes appeared on his body and circled around him, making him look like an emperor. His eyes were fixed on the figure that rushed out of the full moon valley. Lin Xian? His fist glowed with light. On the other side, Qingwu cried out in alarm. How is this possible? Did he really manage to condense 9 waves? She was truly stunned. The North Demon in the illusion was the same. His eyes were filled with shock. 9 heavy waves. His opponent had really condensed 9 waves. This was simply inconceivable. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Young geniuses, monsters on the Moonwatch list, and geniuses from other valleys. The first elder also sucked in a breath of cold air. His godlike eyes flickered with an incomparably sharp light. It was clear that they had never expected this scene to unfold before their eyes. In their opinion, Lin Xian was famous. He was the descendant of the Great Dragon, the successor of the 9 sons, and his name shook the world. But those who could come to the House of Prodigy, which one of them wasn't extremely talented? There was even a descendant of a great emperor, such an unparalleled genius. The Misty Peak even had the 10,000 demon body, such a peerless monster. It could be said that although Lin Xian's name was shocking, he still couldn't suppress everyone here. However, at this moment, Lin Xian's actions had indeed shocked everyone. 9 heavy waves. That was a realm that even the North Demon hadn't reached. It was rumored that only the legendary Yi Gucheng from tens of thousands of years ago had reached it. And now, Lin Xian had done it again. This was simply a legend. This guy was too powerful. The surrounding geniuses were shocked. Situ Xiaoyan's hands trembled slightly, Yifei's eyes emitted a piercing cold light, and Xueling narrowed her eyes. I'm getting more and more interested in this guy. On the other side, the Black Demon, who was like a demon king, had a gloomy expression. Just condensing the 9 heavy waves. So what? His talent isn't bad, but his strength is too weak. In front of me, he can't arouse my interest at all. Although he said that, no matter how he listened, he could hear a hint of jealousy in his words. After all, he couldn't condense the 9 heavy waves either. Yin Nantian didn't say anything. His eyes flickered with strange runes as he stared at the figure in the distance. On the other side, Qingwu was stunned. Her cherry mouth was wide open. Heavens, what did I just see? This guy actually did it. Damn it, I don't believe it. Am I dreaming? Brother, we aren't under an illusion, right? She held the disc array in her hand, and the illusory North Demon on it also took a deep breath. This guy's talent is beyond our imagination. He will definitely be a difficult opponent in the future. Impossible, brother. You think too highly of him. Qingwu snorted. Isn't it just the 9 heavy waves? It just shows that he has some talent. Besides, the 9 heavy waves might not be able to comprehend the full moon wordless steel. If he can't comprehend it, he can't be compared to you. Qingwu was still stubborn. However, what she said was not wrong. In the distance, the great elder was also extremely excited. The eyes of a saint beside him also flickered with strange fluctuations. It was really a surprise. This kid might really become the second Yi Gucheng, the great elder said excitedly. Beside him, the godlike eyes emitted fluctuations. It was possible. However, it might not be certain. All of this had to wait until he comprehended the full moon wordless steel. Although he caused the 9 heavy waves and shocked everyone, it was still hard to say whether he could comprehend the full moon wordless steel. At this moment, Everyone was looking forward to it. They really wanted to know whether Lin Xian could comprehend the full moon wordless steel. He still wanted to comprehend the full moon wordless steel? He was overestimating himself. Let's get a spot first. The black demon snorted. The full moon wordless steel was the treasure of the full moon peak. Not everyone could comprehend it. One had to rush to the top 3 of the full moon peak to be qualified to comprehend it. This kid was just a newcomer now. Although he caused the 9 heavy waves, he wanted to rush to the top 3 in a short period of time. It was simply impossible. After all, there was not much time left until the next opening of the full moon wordless steel. This little bit of time was simply insignificant to them. It was not enough for their strength to undergo earth-shattering changes. Therefore, in their opinion, the other party had no hope at all. Lin Xian rushed out of the full moon lake. He let out a long roar and was very happy. This time, although he did not break through, his strength had become stronger. He was even stronger than before. The great dragon sword soul and 9 young divine body had also been improved. When he came out, he was stunned. Chapter 30:10. He saw that there were many figures around him, and their gazes were all on him. Lin Xian frowned. He sensed some powerful energy fluctuations surging over. Among them, 3 figures were the most terrifying. Their strength was far above Situ Xiaoyan's. Lin Xian turned his head and stared at Heimo, Xueling, and Yifei. The aura on their bodies made his blood boil. So terrifying. Who were these 3 people? How was it, kid? In the distance, the crimson dragon flew over and came to Lin Xian's side. Lin Xian nodded. He had broken through a little. His harvest this time was indeed not small. Then, he asked again, "Who are those 3 people?" "Oh, you mean those 3 guys?" The dark rainbow dragon glanced behind him, curled his lips, and began to explain to Lin Xian. Soon, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. The top 5 people on the Moonview list. In that case, these 3 should be the top few people on the full moon peak. The second-ranked Heimo, the third-ranked Xueling, and the fourth-ranked Yifei. As if sensing Lin Xian's gaze, Yifei and Xueling also turned their heads to look at him. In the next moment, their gazes clashed in the sky. With a bang, the void in the middle instantly turned into a black hole. These guys were really perverted. Just the energy produced by their gazes was so terrifying. The surrounding monsters swallowed their saliva. However, Lin Xian really did not know what was good for him. He had just entered and dared to provoke Yifei and the others. Yifei and Xueling were fine. Although they were powerful, they were just a little arrogant. However, Heimo was very cruel. That kid had made such a big scene today. Heimo would probably be unhappy. As expected, when Heimo saw Lin Xian's gaze, he shouted coldly. A ball of black flames flew out from his eyes. It instantly floated towards Lin Xian. From the looks of it, he was trying to intimidate Lin Xian. F***CK. How shameless. Ambush. The Crimson Dragon cursed. He didn't try to take it head-on because he could see how terrifying the black flames were. Lin Xian also frowned and used the yin-yang steps to dodge the attack. In the next moment, he turned his head and looked forward. His gaze was fixed on the other party. Your speed is not bad. You actually managed to dodge my black flames. The corners of Black Demon's mouth curled up into a cold smile. However, do you think you have the qualifications to taint the wordless steel just because of this? Brat, let's talk about it after a few hundred years. Right now, you don't have the qualifications. Hearing this, the crowd went into an uproar. It seemed that the Black Demon was indeed angry. This brat is going to be miserable. That was because the Black Demon was extremely powerful. On Moon Full Peak, he was second only to Huangfu Beitian. Moreover, his personality was so cruel that he would severely injure people if things didn't go his way. This time, he had set his sights on this Lin brat. He reckoned that the brat would end up in a miserable state. This guy must have eaten gunpowder. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not know the other party. Furthermore, the other party had attacked viciously right from the start. That black flame earlier was extremely terrifying. Perhaps even a genius like Hua Muzhin would be injured if she was enveloped by that flame. As soon as this guy appeared, he attacked viciously. Could it be that no one cared? He looked in the direction of the Great Elder and found that the Great Elder and the sage were just silently watching the battle. They had no intention of stopping it. It seemed that the rules of the extraordinary warrior's mansion were very relaxed. They could fight at will. However, it made sense. After all, this was the entrance to the Great Emperor's Road. The battles on the Great Emperor's Road were extremely tragic. Perhaps the extraordinary warrior's mansion was also based on this point. Therefore, they did not have too many restrictions. Since he knew this point, Lin Xian did not hold back. He frowned. What? Can I comprehend the you wordless steel? You have the final say? Who do you think you are? F***CK. Hearing this, everyone's eyelids twitched fiercely. This brat actually went against the black demon? Did he lose his mind? Did he know who he was facing? The ignorant were fearless. It was no wonder that he had just arrived and did not know the black demon's name. If he knew that he was facing the black demon, the second genius of Moon Full Peak, he would probably immediately kneel on the ground in fear. In the distance, the Sky Prides were discussing animatedly. The black demon's face darkened. It had been a long time since anyone dared to speak to him like this. Therefore, the black demon was stunned for a moment when he heard the other party's words. When he came back to his senses, his face was terrifyingly dark. Good, very good. Brat, you're the first one who dares to speak to me like this. What? Am I wrong? Are you in charge of the you wordless steel? Lin Xian still had his hands behind his back and said indifferently. Regardless of whether it was the black demon or the white demon, since the other party wanted to hurt him, he would not be nice to them. Brat, you don't have to provoke me. To tell you the truth, if you want to comprehend the you wordless steel, you have to get a slot. Only the top 3 geniuses of Moon Full Peak are qualified to comprehend it. Do you think it's possible for you to do so? So that's how it is. Lin Xian was surprised. He did not know before. Thank you for telling me the rules. You should be ranked second. If I defeat you, will I be the new second? Then, I should be qualified. Lin Xian stared at the black demon in front of him again. A biting cold sword intent bloomed from his body. Oh my god, he's causing trouble. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people trembled and almost fainted from fright. What is this guy trying to do? Did I hear wrongly? Does he mean to fight the black demon? Oh my god, is this kid in the water? It's not just in the water. He's courting death. Who does he think he is? How dare he provoke the black demon? The black demon was ranked second on Moon Full Peak, second only to Huangfu Beitian. He was definitely a supreme figure. He was an existence that could compete with the top geniuses of the other peaks. This kid was talented, but his current strength could not be compared to the black demon. He probably could not even block a palm strike from the black demon. Everyone guessed. After all, the black demon had been famous for a long time, and his strength was too terrifying. When Yifei and Xueling heard this, they frowned and revealed a trace of shock. They looked at Lin Xian with shock on their faces. They wanted to know where he got his confidence from. You want to attack me? The black demon was stunned. Then he sneered. Kid, it seems that you don't know my strength. Do you think my second ranking is for nothing? Well, I'll teach you a lesson today. The House of Prodigy is not a place where you can behave atrociously. Here, no matter if you're the descendant of the dragon or the 9 sons, you have to lie down. The black demon's body emitted a monstrous aura. Boundless black flames danced and covered half of the sky. An extremely terrifying power spread out from it. Those geniuses retreated frantically. Damn it, this guy really angered the black demon. Don't say any more, hurry up and stay away. If the black demon attacked, those who were close would suffer. These people knew very well how terrifying the black demon was. Lin Xian felt this force and was also shocked. Very strong. But so what? Is that so? I really want to experience it. Chapter 30:11. He took a step out, and 10,000 rays of sword chi blossomed from his body, turning into a sword cloud, spiraling behind her. The two people's auras kept rising, and a great battle was about to break out. However, at this time, a bolt of lightning streaked across, slashing the void between the two people, forming a large spatial crack, engulfing the two people's auras. All right, Head Elder spoke up. Lin Xian, for you to be able to condense the 9 heavy waves at the full moon lake and recreate the legend, it's really something worthy of celebration. I think highly of you. These words were a kind of affirmation of Lin Xian's heaven and earth phenomenon that he caused before. After all, for so many tens of thousands of years, only 2 people could do it. Lin Xian was one of them. How could they not be excited? However, Head Elder said again, you've only been in the extraordinary warrior mansion for a short time. Why not cultivate for a while first? If you want to fight, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. When these words came out, everyone sighed. Looks like Head Elder made a move to stop this battle. Indeed, although Head Elder and the rest admired Lin Xian, they did not think that the current Lin Xian had the qualifications to compete with Heimo. After all, Heimo was an extremely terrifying existence. They did not want Heimo to make a move and seriously injure Lin Xian. Since Head Elder has spoken, then I'll spare your life today. Kid, you're very lucky to be able to jump around for a few months. But don't worry, after a few months, there will be a competition at the full moon peak. At that time, I'll personally make a move and let you know the rules. Is that so? At that time, I'll have a taste of what kind of strength you, the person ranked second, have. If your strength is too weak, I don't mind teaching you how to trample. A cold light burst out from Lin Xian's eyes. Everyone sucked in a cold breath, their scalps tingling. Was this a challenge? A new kid actually dared to challenge Heimo. Although they would fight a few months later, what could these few months change? Most people shook their heads, thinking that this Lin Xian was really insolent and reckless. Of course, there were also a small number of people who were excited and curious. Crimson Dragon was one of them. Haha, a group of idiots. Wait and see. After a few months, your jaws will definitely drop. He was looking forward to the battle a few months later. I'll wait for you. Heimo glared at Lin Xian coldly. With a wave of his sleeve, he turned into a cloud of demonic clouds and disappeared into the void. I'm looking to fight a few months later. Schwelling laughed. She too. An ice sword. Lin Xian, Lin Xian, Lin Xian, Lin Xian, and Lin Xian, Lin. Following this, the geniuses began to leave. In the sky, the godlike ice slowly disappeared. The Great Elder also turned into a wisp of green smoke and disappeared. Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand and brought the dark red divine dragon and the dark red divine dragon back to the manor. In the following days, Lin Xian sat cross-legged in the manor to cultivate. He wanted to stabilize his strength. After about 7 days, Lin Xian opened his eyes. The strength in his body had completely stabilized. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure came into the manor. Seeing this figure, Lin Xian immediately stood up. Great Elder. Lin Xian cupped his fists and shouted. Lin Xian was also shocked by this Great Elder. He couldn't see through him at all. However, from what he could sense, he shouldn't be an invincible king. He should be beyond that. He couldn't tell whether he was a half-step saint or a sage. Although he didn't have any terrifying strength, he seemed more mysterious. The Great Elder said with a smile, Kid, you haven't gone out for the past few days? No, you've been consolidating your cultivation. Lin Xian shook his head. I have to say, you're quite bold. I've stayed in the House of Prodigies for many years and have seen all kinds of geniuses. But it's the first time I've seen someone like you who dared to provoke Heimo. It's not that I want to provoke him, but he's gone too far. I don't even know him. We haven't even met before. He actually used such an attack the moment he saw me. If that wisp of black flame fell, it's estimated that a prodigy with 50,000 Archean power would be injured. Tell me, how can I not be angry? Sigh, this Heimo is indeed arrogant and overbearing. The Great Elder sighed and then changed the topic. Okay, let's not talk about it. I'll take you to a place. Where to? You'll know when you get there. The Great Elder waved his sleeve, and countless laws enveloped Lin Xian, bringing him away from the spot. Just like that, Lin Xian left with the Great Elder. He didn't bring the dark red divine dragon or the snow-white little monkey with him. These 2 fellows had already run off to some unknown place to harm others. The Great Elder was so fast that Lin Xian couldn't believe it. He knew that this was the speed of laws. Soon, the 2 of them arrived at the back mountain. There was no one here, but there were teleportation arrays. The Great Elder brought Lin Xian to one of the teleportation arrays. Buzz. The two of them disappeared from the teleportation array. When the two of them appeared again, Lin Xian's eyes widened. He looked in front of him in disbelief. In front of him, it was bright and full of light. Those who didn't know would think that they had arrived at the immortal world. Countless jade palaces sat on the ground, emitting a holy light. There were strange flowers and herbs growing around, emitting a strong fragrance. Great Elder, you didn't bring me to the immortal world, right? Lin Xian was shocked. The Great Elder laughed. It would be great if it was really the immortal world. How could we have a place that even the great emperor had never been to? Don't think too much. This was a secret realm of the House of Prodigies. Lin Xian saw that there were figures entering the palaces in front of him. Lin Xian even met a few of them. He had seen them at the full moon lake before. They were a little familiar. It seemed that this wasn't a paradise on earth, but a special place of the House of Prodigies. Let's go. Don't be stunned here. The Great Elder brought Lin Xian forward. Lin Xian followed behind. Walking on the stairs, light flowed under his feet, emitting a turbulent energy. Lin Xian felt a strong spiritual energy rushing towards him. He raised his head and saw a plaque on top of the huge palace. Two words were written in flamboyant calligraphy. Moon Palace. In front of the main hall of the Moon Palace, there was a Taoist sweeping the floor. The old man's hair was messy and his face was pale. There was no energy fluctuation on his body, as if he was an ordinary person. Even his sweeping movement was very slow. It was as if he had one foot in the grave and would die at any time. For such an ordinary old man to appear in this fairyland-like palace, it was very eye-catching. Lin Xian couldn't help but take a few more glances. However, he frowned. Even if he used the Tianji God eyes, he couldn't see anything special about this old man. It was as if he was really an ordinary person. But was this Taoist really an ordinary person? He didn't know. Chapter 30:12. Go in and see if there are any opportunities. The Grand Elder waved his hand and said. Lin Xian nodded, turned around, and walked towards the Moon Palace. Soon, his figure disappeared from the Moon Palace. The Grand Elder took a deep breath and looked at the Taoist priest in front of him. Then, he bowed respectfully. Greetings, Grand Elder. This time, there might be a turning point for the full moon peak. Someone might be able to comprehend the full moon wordless steel. Hearing this, the Taoist priest in front of him said indifferently without raising his head. Oh, are you talking about the little guy who just went in? His voice was also very light, without any energy fluctuations or the power of loss. This made people very suspicious. Who exactly was this old man? However, before the Grand Elder could say anything, the old Taoist priest nodded. That little guy is not bad. I can feel at least 3 powerful energy fluctuations in his body. It seems that this little guy has a lot of secrets. 3? I don't know about that. I only know that he is the successor of the Great Dragon and the successor of the 9 Sons. Is that so? No wonder. The Great Dragon Sword and the 9 Sons' divine body are indeed worthy of their reputation. However, his eyes were also very strange. The old Taoist priest did not look at Lin Xian from the beginning to the end, but now, he seemed to have seen through Lin Xian. Lin Xian's eyes also have secrets? The Grand Elder was surprised. He really did not know about this. However, he did not intend to delve into it. After all, he knew that these people were all geniuses. Who didn't have secrets? Lin Xian walked in. The interior was still colorful, like an immortal palace. Not long after, a black shadow suddenly charged towards him, giving Lin Xian a fright. He subconsciously raised his hand and struck out with his palm. Boom! He struck out with his palm. The void trembled, and the impact was vast and mighty. This palm strike of his could instantly blow apart an invincible king. However, the thing in front of him did not shatter. It only took a step back, which surprised Lin Xian. So powerful. Who is this person? His physique is too strong. He was even stronger than the prodigies of the primeval theocrats. However, when Lin Xian saw the black figure in front of him, he was completely stunned. The black shadow in front of him was too strange. It had a mysterious aura flowing around its body and a pair of jade-like wings on its back. They didn't look like humans at all. 10,000 ancient races? Lin Xian frowned. Wang. At this moment, not far from him, another figure with a pair of white jade wings flew over. Its opponent was a woman. She held a red sword in her hand and slashed out 3 sword flashes. The sword chi was like a rainbow, forcing the figure to retreat. At the same time, she turned to look at Lin Xian with a face full of surprise. "You're new? My name is Lin Xian. How should I address you?" And what was this thing in front of him? Lin Xian? You're that Lin Xian. This time, the woman in red was surprised. She curiously sized up the young man in front of her. He looks handsome, but there's nothing special about him. Lin Xian smiled bitterly. What's special about me? The woman in red smiled and said, You don't know, but the news about you has spread on the full moon peak. Everyone is saying that you have 3 heads and 6 arms. Lin Xian was speechless. Didn't he just create the 9 heavy waves at the full moon lake? Was there a need to spread such rumors? 3 heads and 6 arms? He wasn't from the 10,000 ancient races either. Looking at the speechless Lin Xian, the woman in red smiled and said, My surname is Liu, and my name is Liu Yanan. Fairy Liu, can you tell me what kind of monster this is? As he said that, Lin Xian slapped out again. The golden palm turned into a huge seal and blasted in front of him. The figure on top of it blasted him back again. They're called moon shadow beings. I don't know how they came about, but they contain a mysterious power. We fight with them to increase our combat experience and hone ourselves. Moreover, speaking till here, Liu Yanan slashed out a few more times, causing that moon shadow person to tremble. A mysterious aura flickered on the moon shadow being's body and poured into Liu Yanan's body. This is the second benefit, absorbing their power to strengthen oneself. This is a very pure power, the essence of the moon. Don't worry. You just need to absorb it into your body and refine it. Oh right, this should be your first time coming to the Moon Palace, right? You definitely haven't gone to the Moon Soul Stone. Go to the Moon Soul Stone first and condense the Moon Soul in your body. Then come back to absorb the essence of the moon. Lin Xian was surprised by all of this. As expected of the full moon peak, the things inside were too profound. He walked forward. Along the way, he saw many people fighting with these moon shadow beings. As long as they defeated these moon shadow beings, they could absorb the essence of the moon from these moon shadow beings. After walking for a while, Lin Xian frowned. He felt an abnormal energy fluctuation in front of him. He couldn't help but speed up. Soon, he came to the front. In front of him was a large hall. In the center of the hall, there was a crescent-shaped stone suspended in midair. It was as white as jade and emitted rays of light that hung down. It looked very mysterious. This should be the Moon Soul Stone. Lin Xian's arrival attracted the attention of many people around him. In the next moment, they were discussing animatedly. It's that kid. Who is he? He's that Lin Xian. What? That Lin Xian who has 3 heads and 6 arms. It seems that he's going to condense the Moon Soul. There were many people sitting cross-legged around. They were facing the Moon Soul Stone and seemed to be absorbing the power on it. However, this distance made the corner of Lin Xian's mouth twitch a little. Damn, isn't it too far? Those who didn't know would think that these people were doing something. No one dared to get close to the Moon Soul Stone and could only absorb it from afar. Even so, the monstrous geniuses were satisfied with what they had. Could it be that this Moon Soul Stone was so powerful and terrifying? Lin Xian didn't believe it and prepared to walk forward. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the geniuses in the distance changed. This kid is really bold? Heh, does he think that he can be presumptuous here just because he can condense the 9 heavy waves? Let's see how he dies. Many people gloated. In the distance, Liu Yanan also exclaimed when she saw this scene. Lin Xian, be careful, don't get too close. This moon soul is very strange. If you get too close, it can directly penetrate your soul. Directly penetrate the soul. After Lin Xian heard this, he also stopped in his tracks. His expression became solemn as he looked at the Moon Soul Stone in front of him. When the surrounding people heard this, they sighed. Damn it, who was the one who tipped them off? They originally wanted to watch a show. However, when they saw the woman in red in the distance, they immediately shrunk their necks in fear and didn't dare to speak anymore. Outside, the first elder waved his hands. In front of him, countless laws condensed and formed a small ball of light. What was displayed on the ball of light was Lin Xian's current state. At this moment, other than the first elder, the Taoist priest who was sweeping the floor also raised his head. His turbid eyes were also looking at the ball of light in front of him. He was also looking forward to seeing this young man who had set off the 9 heavy waves in the full moon lake and created a legend. Chapter 30:13. What was this kid trying to do? Was he really going to get close? What a joke. Who did he think he was? Even top prodigies like Yifei and Schwelling did not dare to get too close. Not to mention him, but that might not be the case. This kid had set off the 9 waves and created a legend. Perhaps he would have a way. The surrounding prodigies discussed animatedly. However, most of them shook their heads. If you say he can do it in a few decades, I believe you. If you say he can do it now, I won't believe you. Lin Xian ignored the people around him. He only had eyes for the moon soul stone in front of him. After taking a deep breath, Lin Xian walked forward again. Was this fellow even listening to what he said? Behind him, the woman in red frowned when she saw this. Forget it. I'll ignore him. It's good to let him suffer a little, so that he won't be so arrogant again. Indeed, in the eyes of these prodigies, Lin Xian was indeed too arrogant. First, he provoked the black demon. Now, he was trying to get close to the moon soul stone. Which one of those things did not scare these prodigies out of their wits? No one else dared to do it, but this kid did it one after another. If that was not arrogance, then what was? Perhaps this guy would only calm down after suffering a little. Lin Xian had only taken 2 steps when he felt an immense pressure surging towards him from the front, wanting to crush him to death. This pressure was not only on his body, but also on his soul. No wonder that was the case. No wonder those top prodigies did not dare to get too close. Even a prodigy would not be able to withstand an injury to his soul. Moreover, if he was not careful, he might be killed on the spot. Now, he finally understood why the people around him were so far away and did not dare to get close. He also knew why the woman in red behind him reminded him. However, that was for others. These people might not be able to do it, but for Lin Xian, it might not be the case. He really didn't believe in this evil. In the next moment, he took a deep breath and walked forward. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated, and a wave of sword chi surrounded his body as he slashed forward. The great dragon sword soul's attack was unparalleled. It could cut through everything. Even though the moon soul stone had terrifying power, it was still cut open by the great dragon sword soul. Although the speed of the slash was very slow, it was already very shocking. Golden light blossomed in Lin Xian's eyes. Sensing this scene, the corners of his mouth curled into a smile as he slowly walked forward. This brat really didn't know what was good for him. He had already warned him not to go over, but he refused to listen. Who did he think he was? He was too arrogant. Did he think that he could be arrogant anywhere just because he caused the 9 heavy waves? In the moon soul stone, he wouldn't even know how he died. These people sneered. The woman in red behind him also shook her head. She didn't think that Lin Xian would succeed. Perhaps after 2 steps, the other party would vomit blood and fly back. But soon, these people were stunned. What's going on? He actually took 5 steps forward. Damn it. How did this kid do it? Impossible. I don't believe it. The surrounding people widened their eyes as if they had seen a ghost. At the rear, the woman in red was also stunned. How could this be? The other party actually took 5 steps. In Yu's opinion, the other party was strong and had the 9 yang divine body, but he could only take 2 steps at most. If he went any further, he would be injured. But now, the other party took 5 steps in one breath. What was even more strange was that the other party was not injured. Damn it, this was really strange. Could it be that the moon soul stone didn't affect him? How was that possible? Who would go and test if the moon soul stone's function had failed? These people were very confused. I'll do it. One of the gray-clothed young men turned into a ray of light and flew out. He had only taken a few steps when he vomited blood and flew back. His face was extremely pale. At the next moment, he got up and cursed crazily. Damn it! Who told me to go? Who said that it was useless? I'm going to fight it out with him. This guy had rushed too fast and was severely injured. He hurriedly retreated far away and swallowed a pill to heal his injuries. When the others saw this scene, they were dumbfounded. The Moon Soul Stone was still terrifying, but why was that kid fine? Everyone in the main hall was stunned. Outside the main hall, the first elder and the Taoist priest who was sweeping the floor looked at the light ball in front of them in shock. The first elder gasped. The Taoist priest's turbid eyes shone with a strange light. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Xian walked forward. Gradually, his expression turned solemn because he felt an enormous pressure. At this moment, he was 30 meters away from the Moon Soul Stone in front of him, but there seemed to be a pair of invisible hands stopping him. The resistance in front of him became stronger, and it was very terrifying. It wanted to crush him. Although he had the great dragon sword soul to open the way, his speed was much slower than before. Moreover, the surrounding terrifying aura was surging toward him from all directions. Lin Xian had no choice but to activate the 9-yang divine body. At the same time, golden runes flashed in his eyes. He activated the heavenly secret divine eyes. Just like that, Lin Xian walked another 10 meters and stopped 20 meters away from the Moon Soul Stone. He did not walk forward anymore. Instead, he stood still. This scene made all the geniuses in the main hall gulp. The woman in red behind him was also stunned. Her body was trembling slightly. Damn it! Is this the guy from the legends? He really has 3 heads and 6 arms. She was not an ordinary person. She was also one of the top geniuses on the moon-gazing list. Her strength was above Situ Xiaoyan's. She did not see the incident at the moon-gazing lake with her own eyes, but the entire moon-gazing peak had spread. Naturally, she had also heard about it. It was rumored that the young man who had just entered had stirred up the 9 heavy waves and created a legend. He had shocked everyone. Moreover, it was said that the kid had 3 heads and 6 arms. He was very magical. Lu Yanin was very curious about such a person. Finally, she saw him just now. However, he did not have 3 heads and 6 arms like she had imagined. Instead, he was a handsome young man. Other than that, she did not see anything special about him. But now, she saw it. He was actually 20 meters away from the Moon Soul Stone. That was too unbelievable. One had to know that when she was in front of the Moon Soul Stone and condensed the Moon Soul, she could only see 80 meters away. As far as she knew, Yifei and Xueling were only 60 to 70 meters away from her. Even Heimo, the famous and terrifying existence of the moon-gazing peak, condensed the Moon Soul at a distance of 50 meters away. Who would condense the Moon Soul at a distance of 20 meters? He was simply courting death. In Lu Yanin's opinion, it was absolutely impossible for anyone to do it. Even the number 1 Huangfu Beitian could not do it. But now, she saw with her own eyes that someone had successfully done it. She wondered how long it would take for him to condense the Moon Soul. Lu Yanin's beautiful eyes flickered. Chapter 30:14. Back then, she took 3 months to condense it. She was ranked 9th on the full moon peak and was considered a super genius. Those who were ranked higher than her, such as Yifei and Xueling, took 1.5 months. The Heimo seemed to have taken only 1 month to condense it. I wonder how long this kid will take. The surrounding geniuses were also shocked. Looking at his terrifying appearance, I think he should be able to condense it in a month. No way, 1 month? Isn't he able to catch up with the Heimo? Speaking of the Heimo, these geniuses trembled. They had no choice. The Heimo was too terrifying. He was like a shadow that pressed down on them, making them unable to breathe. Impossible. He shouldn't be able to compete with the Heimo in the sea. I think he should be able to take about a month with Yifei and the others. These people discussed. Even if he condensed it in a month, it was still a shocking matter. After all, Yifei and the others were extremely terrifying existences in their eyes. Lin Xian stood in front of them with a serious expression. He could feel a mysterious power coming from the Moon Soul Stone. It wanted to enter his body and tear his body apart, especially his soul. It was under great pressure. Humph! Lin Xian snorted. Golden runes appeared in his eyes, floating and spinning rapidly. Buzz! He absorbed the energy of the moon's soul stone and condensed it quickly in his body. However, he didn't know where the others condensed it. His power was rapidly condensing in his left eye. More and more of it formed a small light spot, and it was gradually growing bigger. What a strange and mysterious energy! Lin Xian was surprised. He didn't expect the energy of the moon's soul stone to be produced in his heavenly secret divine eye. At the same time, the golden runes in his heavenly secret divine eye were spinning rapidly as if they were very happy. Lin Xian had never seen such a scene before. This made his heart tremble. He took another step forward. No way. This kid wants to move forward. Does he want to die? This time, those people screamed again. Behind him, Lu Yanin also exclaimed. 20 meters was already a miracle, but the other party actually wanted to go 10 meters forward? This was something that even Huangpu Beitian, who was ranked first, couldn't do. Ka. As expected, after Lin Xian took a step forward, the bones in his body emitted cracking sounds. The Nine Suns' divine body also suffered a great impact. He coldly snorted, and his divine body emitted light as he forcibly withstood the pressure. At the same time, he mobilized the great dragon sword soul and formed a dragon-shaped sword shadow. It surged forward and broke through the mysterious power. 1 step, 2 steps, Lin Xian once again walked forward. When he reached 10 meters, the power of the Nine Yang divine body and the great dragon sword spirit could no longer walk forward. However, at this moment, his heavenly fate divine eye started to emit a mysterious light as it rotated slowly. He seemed to have communicated with the moon soul in front of him. He felt that the pressure around him had suddenly lightened, as if it had disappeared. What was going on? Could it be that the heavenly secret divine eyes were somehow related to the moon soul stone? He didn't know, but he walked forward without hesitation. Finally, he arrived before the moon soul stone. At this distance, he only needed to stretch out his hand to touch the moon soul stone. My heavens! This scene caused everyone to be stupefied. He actually arrived before the moon soul stone. Damn it! How did this kid do it? The people in the hall were about to go crazy. Behind them, Lu Yanin also opened her cherry mouth wide as if she had seen a ghost. Outside, the first elder's pupils shrank. The Taoist who was sweeping the floor also trembled, and a shocking light burst out from his turbid eyes. He could actually walk to the front. It was really surprising. Huangfu Beitian couldn't do it, and the North Demon couldn't do it, but he did it. The first elder was also shocked. I wonder how long it will take him to condense the moon soul. At this rate, he should be able to do it in a few days. The first elder muttered to himself. The Taoist who was sweeping the floor at the side also spoke. Back then, Yi Gucheng only took a day to condense the moon soul. One day. This was really shocking news. One had to know that even a terrifying monster like the Black Demon had to spend a month, but Yi Gucheng only took a day tens of thousands of years ago. The gap between them was simply too great. No wonder Yi Gucheng could comprehend the moon-gazing wordless steel. I wonder how long it will take Lin Xian to condense the moon soul now. Lin Xian looked at the moon soul stone in front of him, and his eyes flickered. He reached out his hand and gently touched it. He felt a shocking force that wanted to open his palm. With a cold shout, the golden hand emitted a light, and there was even a dragon-shaped sword chi surrounding it to block the aura. His palm landed on the moon soul stone. Buzz! A shocking force erupted, and the surrounding monsters in the distance fled frantically. Damn it! What is this guy trying to do? Is he crazy? The light emitted by the moon soul stone was too sharp. At this moment, it was as if it had transformed into a full moon that stood above the 9 heavens. It pressed down on everyone. With a plop, the surrounding monsters were pressed to the ground, and their faces were pale. Lu Yanin's expression changed drastically. She shouted, and countless red sword shadows surrounded her body, forming a red lotus that wrapped around her. It resisted the pressure of the full moon in the sky. The great elder who was watching in the dark was shocked. The moon soul stone had been activated. The Taoist priest who was sweeping the floor did not say anything, and his eyes were fixed on the screen. The Moon Soul Stone had indeed been activated, and Lin Xian did not expect it to be like this. Could it be that it was not a stone? What exactly was it? He did not know, but he felt a great pressure. Even with the strength of the 9-yang divine body, it was on the verge of cracking under the pressure. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Lin Xian resisted with all his might, and the Moon Soul Stone became more and more mysterious. It was as if it had really turned into a moon that wanted to crush everything mercilessly. At this moment, Lin Xian's heavenly secret divine eyes spun crazily, and the golden runes quickly combined, emitting a mysterious aura. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Lin Xian's body trembled, and he saw a scene in front of him. Above the endless plains, there was a full moon. The moon hanging high in the sky was so big that it was unbelievable. It was like a star in front of him, and he could not see the end of it. What kind of scene was this? Lin Xian was stunned. Time passed slowly. 1 incense sticks time, 2 incense sticks time, and finally, 2 hours had passed. Lin Xian's body trembled, and all of the illusions disappeared. In his left eye, endless golden runes wrapped around the essence of the moon and quickly condensed, forming a crescent moon pattern that was reflected in his eye. Buzz. As soon as the crescent moon pattern appeared, endless moonlight rushed towards Lin Xian's left eye and wrapped around him. In the next moment, Lin Xian felt a powerful energy erupt. Chapter 30:15. Boom. Once again, the surrounding monsters were pushed back. The Moon Soul Stone retracted its terrifying aura and floated in the air again. What's going on? What happened? Those people were stunned. Could it be that he condensed the Moon Soul? What a joke. Those prodigies screamed. Is this a joke? How can he condense the Moon Soul in 2 hours? I don't believe it. They really didn't believe it. The Black Demon took a month, but the other party only took 2 hours. What a joke. Lu Yanan didn't believe it either. However, outside, the First Elder and the Taoist priest were stunned. The First Elder's hands were trembling. 2 hours. He actually condensed the Moon Soul in 2 hours. How did he do it? Truth be told, the Grand Elder was truly shocked. Even Yigu Cheng, a monstrous genius, had taken an entire day to complete the task. Lin Xian had only used 2 hours to do it. The Taoist priest took a deep breath and stared at the screen. His eyes are very mysterious. Perhaps he has some kind of bloodline or inheritance, but I can't figure it out yet. His eyes? The First Elder gasped. But no matter what, Lin Xian condensed the Moon Soul in 2 hours, which really shocked them. Not only did he scare them, but he also created another legend. Not to mention him, even the peak leader would be shocked when he knew about it. Inside the Moon Palace, the golden light in Lin Xian's eyes disappeared and returned to normal. He turned around and walked into the distance. The surrounding prodigies were puzzled. Has this kid condensed the Moon Soul? I don't know. Has he given up? Or did he succeed? What a joke. He can't possibly succeed in 2 hours. Even a god can't do it. Those people shook their heads. In their opinion, could it be that this guy had suffered some kind of injury before? Hee, this kid is so close to the Moon Palace. He must be injured. That must be it. Lu Yanan was also surprised. Just as she was about to ask what happened to Lin Xian, a figure walked over beside her. As soon as the figure entered, he scanned the surroundings. When he stared at Lin Xian, he was stunned for a moment before a cold smile appeared on his face. Brat, it's actually you. I didn't expect to meet you here. Hearing this, Lin Xian also stopped in his tracks and raised his head to look ahead. He frowned. Who are you? The other party was a stranger. He didn't recognize him. Moreover, he had not been at Full Moon Peak for long. Other than Situ Shoutian and Black Devil, he had not offended anyone. Who was this person? Could he be a subordinate of the Black Demon? I've long heard that you've joined Full Moon Peak, but I've never had the chance to see you. I didn't expect to meet you here today. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite. What's going on? Yuan Kuei was actually going to attack. Oh heavens, Yuan Kuei is attacking Lin Xian. The surrounding geniuses crawled up from the ground. Before they could recover from their shock, they were already screaming. Yuan Kuei, this kid didn't offend you, did he? Lu Yanan, who was at the side, also frowned. Yuan Kuei coldly snorted. This kid killed the #1 genius of the battle race, Zhan Wushuang. My celestial race and the battle race have always been on good terms. I naturally have to avenge Zhan Wushuang. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. No wonder someone from the celestial race was like this. Yuan Kuei was also a member of the 10,000 ancient races. Moreover, he had a good relationship with the battle race. From the looks of it, he really wanted to stand up for Zhan Wushuang this time. Since you want to stand up for him, then cut the crap and attack. Lin Xian looked at Yuan Kuei, his body emitting a biting cold killing intent. The surrounding people were stunned. This kid actually dared to attack Yuan Kuei? Lu Yanin was also stunned. She knew that Lin Xian had just arrived and didn't know how powerful Yuan Kuei was. So she explained, "Kid, think carefully. Yuan Kuei is ranked 15th on Full Moon Peak. His strength is above Situ Xiaotian. Situ Xiaotian is ranked 20th. Can you do it? If you can't, I'll help you stop him." Ranked 15th? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. I want to see what's so special about someone ranked 15th. To be honest, he really wanted to see. He had seen Situ Xiaotian's strength. He wondered how Yuan Kuei would fare. However, no matter how strong Yuan Kuei was, he wasn't afraid. Previously at Full Moon Lake, his strength had already increased. Now, he had just condensed the Moon Soul. He could use this opportunity to feel what kind of mysterious power the Moon Soul had. You don't know the difference between life and death. Do you think you can contend against me just by condensing the 9 heavy waves? Kid, talent is talent. Strength is strength. Before you grow, you'd better tuck your tail between your legs. Yuan Kuei shouted coldly. A halberd appeared in his hand. As he waved it, it shattered the void. It seemed like he wanted to directly attack in the Moon Palace. It shouldn't be a problem to attack here, right? Lin Xian looked at Lu Yanin. Lu Yanin said, "No problem. This Moon Palace is very mysterious. Even a half-step saint can't break it. There shouldn't be any problem if you two fight. Since that's the case, I'm relieved." Lin Xian was afraid that the Moon Palace was too weak and he couldn't attack with his full strength. Since it could withstand the attack of a half-step saint, he could attack to his heart's content. You don't know the difference between life and death. Take my attack. Yuan Kuei shouted coldly. He stomped his foot, causing a loud bang. The entire Moon Palace shook. At the same time, a piercing light erupted from his body. The halberd in his hand swung like a bolt of lightning descending from the sky. The entire void was instantly split in half. Clang! Lin Xian waved his golden fist and performed the 9 Suns' divine fist. Chapter 30:16. Lu Yanin frowned. She was ready to save Lin Xian. After all, Lin Xian was a monster. She wanted to befriend him, as he would be a powerful friend in the future. Perhaps he would be able to help her in the future. Before Lu Yanin could make a move, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Moon Soul? All right, I want to see it too. As he spoke, the golden runes in his left eye shone and turned into a full moon. Whoosh! A ray of light flew out. It's useless. You can't break the power of my Moon Soul. Yuan Kuei sneered, but soon, he couldn't laugh anymore. He even became terrified. That was because he realized that the golden light from Lin Xian's eye also contained the power of the Moon Essence. Moon Soul, how can you have it? That's impossible. He was going crazy. Lin Xian had just arrived. How many days has it been? He has already condensed the Moon Soul? How is that possible? One had to know that Heimo had also condensed the Moon Soul for a month, so he couldn't figure it out. With a bang, the fist shattered. Not only that, half of his body shattered and turned into a bloody mist. He flew out and spat out mouthfuls of blood. Yuan Kuei's face was full of horror. Lu Yanin was stunned. Initially, he had wanted to make a move to save Lin Xian, but she didn't expect that to be the result. Not only her, but everyone around was stunned. The power of the Moon Soul. He actually used the power of the Moon Soul. How is that possible? Could it be that he condensed the Moon Soul in the 2 hours just now? These people are crazy. Previously, they saw Lin Xian standing in front of the Moon Soul stone for 2 hours before he left. They didn't think that he could condense the moon soul at all. They thought that he was still injured. But now, he used the power of the moon soul, which made them realize that he had condensed the moon soul. He condensed it in 2 hours. Damn, that's simply a myth. Thump. Many people fainted from shock. It was too shocking. Lu Yanin was also stunned, and her body began to tremble. 2 hours. Was the other party even human? Monster was no longer enough to describe him. Everyone in the hall was frightened by Lin Xian. Lin Xian was also shocked. He did not expect Moon Soul's power to be so strong. It seemed that this was really an unexpected surprise. In the next moment, his eyes returned to normal, and he said indifferently, "What, do you want to continue?" Yuan Kuei's face was extremely ugly. He had originally wanted to use the power of the moon spirit to suppress the other party. However, he didn't expect that the other party would know how to do it as well. Without saying a word, he hurriedly fled. His speed was so fast that it was unexpected. Lin Xian shook his head and looked at Lu Yanin and the people around her. He frowned. "Hey, what's with your expressions? Didn't he just defeat Yuan Kuei? Was it really that surprising?" To be honest, he did not think that Yuan Kuei was a match for him. Even if he did not use the power of the moon spirit, he could still defeat Yuan Kuei. But now, these people were looking at him, trembling in fear. What was the meaning of this? Did he look down on him so much? However, he was wrong. Yuan Kuei was not surprised by his strength, but by his moon soul. Lu Yanin swallowed her saliva, then braced herself and said, "Did you really condense the moon soul?" "Huh." Lin Xian nodded. 2 hours. Yes. Was it very difficult? Lin Xian was not particularly satisfied. In his opinion, 2 hours was too long. However, after hearing this, the surrounding elites immediately knelt on the ground with tears streaming down their faces. Lu Yanin's mouth twitched. "Brother, don't be so harsh." Lin Xian was even more confused, but he soon understood. Lu Yanin was almost crying as she said, "Did you know that Heimo, the second-ranked elite of the full moon peak, took an entire month to condense the moon soul? It took me 3 months to condense it. You condensed it in 2 hours. Are you still human?" Lin Xian was speechless. He was stunned. To be honest, he really did not expect that he would create another legend. In his opinion, it was not very difficult to condense the moon soul. 1 hour was a little long, but others should be able to do it in a few hours. He did not know that Heimo took a month. Oh my god, the difference is indeed a little big. Lin Xian smiled embarrassedly. "Did I hurt you?" Lu Yanin was speechless. All the elites were speechless. Suddenly, Lin Xian frowned. He heard the Great Elder's voice transmission. He ignored these people and walked out of the Moon Palace. "Great Elder, you're looking for me?" When he came in front of the Great Elder again, he realized that the Taoist priest was still there. However, the Taoist priest's aura seemed to have changed. "Lin Xian, you really surprised me. You only took 2 hours to condense the moon soul." The Great Elder was excited. Even the Taoist priest beside him was excited. Lin Xian also had an innocent look on his face. "I didn't do it on purpose. How could I have thought that 2 hours would cause such a commotion?" The Great Elder's mouth twitched. "Did you know that Yi Guqing took an entire day to condense the moon soul? What kind of commotion was that? You actually took 2 hours." Elder Zhang didn't want to say anything. Lin Xian was also surprised. Yi Guqing took an entire day. This time, he was really shocked. To be honest, he didn't care about the black demons at all. However, Yi Guqing was different. He didn't expect that the time he took to condense the moon soul was much shorter than Yi Guqing. However, he also knew that it should be because of the heavenly secret divine eyes. "Bring him to that place," the Taoist priest beside him said in a deep voice. The Great Elder was stunned. "Isn't it a little too early?" The Taoist priest shook his head. A peerless genius can't be judged by common sense. Now, he's completely qualified to enter that place. "All right, I understand." Elder Zhang took a deep breath and looked at Lin Xian again. "Come with me." As he spoke, the laws on his body enveloped Lin Xian. "Great Elder, where are we going?" Lin Xian was very surprised. The two of them rose into the air and flew towards the clouds. Gradually, They flew higher and higher. Lin Xian could no longer see below. His soul couldn't feel it either. He could only see the scenery below clearly by activating the heavenly secret divine eyes. In the next moment, his eyes widened. This is? He realized that the moon palace below was gradually becoming smaller. Soon, a shadow appeared. This is? Is this the moon? Lin Xian was stunned. I actually came to the outer realm. That mysterious moon palace is actually built on the moon. That's right, this is indeed the moon. It's just a small moon. In the sky, there are many stars that are similar to the moon. This is one of the smaller ones. It has been transformed by our House of Wonders into a secret realm. The Great Elder's voice floated over. Lin Xian was excited. It was his first time coming to the outer realm, because if one didn't become a sage, it was impossible to come to the outer realm. The reason why he could come was because he was surrounded by countless law runes. At this moment, he activated the heavenly secret divine eyes to the extreme and looked around. The universe's starry sky. Chapter 30:17. Except for the huge moon below, the other twinkling stars were very weak. The entire universe was dark. He saw a star in the distance. It was so huge that it was unimaginable. The light and aura emitted from it were too powerful, far surpassing the moon below. That was the true spirit world, which was also the origin star. It was impossible to see its original appearance from the sky. You couldn't see it clearly, not even a sage. The Great Elder said, "Let's go. I'll take you to another place." Countless Tao runes intertwined under his feet, forming a spirit boat, carrying the two of them and flying into the distance. In the dark universe, a ray of light streaked across. After flying for a long time, the Great Elder stopped. Lin Xian looked around curiously. This place was very unfamiliar. There were many stars around, and the power they emitted was too terrifying. Do you see the 4 stars in the distance? The Great Elder pointed to the distance and said. Seeing this, Lin Xian nodded his head as golden light circled his eyes. It was called the 4 soul stars. On the 4 stars, there were places for cultivation. A star was equivalent to a world. Using a world as a place for cultivation, this extraordinary scholar manner was really generous. Lin Xian swallowed his saliva. Sure enough, the extraordinary scholar manner far surpassed those sacred grounds. The first star was called the red refining star, which was a world of fire. The second blue star was called the ice refining star, which was a world of ice. The third was the gold refining star. The fourth was the earth refining star. These 4 worlds represented different directions of cultivation. Which one would you like to enter? The Great Elder continued. Yifei, Xueling, Heimo, you've already met them. Among them, Xueling went to the ice refining star, Yifei went to the gold refining star, and Heimo went to the fire refining star. There was no difference between these 4 stars. It just depended on which one was suitable for you. Lin Xian thought for a while and didn't choose immediately. Instead, he asked, I want to know, which star did Senior Yi Guqing choose? The Great Elder took a deep look at Lin Xian, then shook his head. He didn't choose any of these 4 stars. He didn't choose any of them? Lin Xian was stunned. The Great Elder pointed at the void in the middle of the 4 stars. He chose that one. Lin Xian was taken aback at first. Then he activated his heavenly secret god eyes and looked into the void. The next moment, he was extremely shocked. There, he discovered another star. However, it was very dim. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it. Lin Xian even suspected that if he hadn't used his heavenly fate god eye, he wouldn't have noticed that there was a star there. Not only was this star well hidden, but more importantly, Lin Xian discovered that it was actually cracked. More than half of the entire planet had been split open. Only 1/3 of it was still intact. In that world, there should be an incomparably terrifying canyon. As if seeing the confusion in Lin Xian's eyes, the first elder explained that the canyon had been split open by someone's sword. What? It was split open by someone? Was there someone who could split open a world of stars with a single sword strike? Lin Xian's eyelids twitched. He was also a swordsman, so he naturally knew how difficult it was to do that. An image appeared in his mind. A peerless figure, like a sword god, waved his hand and opened up a world of stars with a single sword strike. How spectacular was that? He clenched his fists and even trembled with excitement. He really hoped that one day he would also be able to reach such strength. In the blink of an eye, the world had been reduced to ashes. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Lin Xian took a deep breath. All right, then I'll go to the star that was split open. That star was called the Dark Star. It was a wasted star and could basically be considered abandoned. The dangers in that place were much more dangerous than the other 4 realms. Therefore, he had to be careful. The Great Elder waved his hand and threw a token to Lin Xian. Take it. When you return, you can activate the array formation above the ruins and directly teleport back to the full moon peak. Don't work too hard. As for the rest, you can explore it yourself. After the Great Elder finished speaking, he waved his embroidered robe. Lin Xian was wrapped in countless runes and laws as he rushed forward. He turned into a torrent and landed below the ruins with a bang. When he entered the world of ruins, the law of runes on his body disappeared. Around him, endless astral winds blew. It was extremely terrifying. These astral winds could easily tear through the void. When they hit Lin Xian's body, they emitted an earth-shaking sound. Lin Xian immediately activated the 9-yang divine body to resist the terrifying astral winds. At the same time, he adjusted his body and flew in the air. He probed with his soul and sensed his surroundings. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. The spiritual energy here was very chaotic. Indeed, although he had not comprehended the laws, he could still sense the power of various attributes. It was too chaotic. It was not a suitable place for cultivation. However, since Yi Gucheng had come, it meant that there was value in this place. Lin Xian decided to investigate. His figure flashed, and countless sword lights surged out from his body, destroying the surrounding astral winds. His entire body turned into a meteor and rushed down. Whoosh! After landing, he looked around. The ground beneath his feet was grayish-brown. The surroundings were also gray. The mountains were gray, and the leaves were gray. The plants were also gray. It was as if the entire world had lost its vitality and luster. The surrounding space was filled with an oppressive and indescribable power. He did not doubt that if a weak person stayed here for a period of time, they would probably go crazy and collapse. Fortunately, his soul was strong and his willpower was firm, so the oppressive force around him did not affect him. Lin Xian's gaze turned, but he did not find the Great Crack. It seemed that he was not at the place where the Great Canyon Bone Crack was. However, he really wanted to see what the sword looked like. After flying for about 7 or 8 days, Lin Xian stopped. He saw a huge crack in front of him. He could not see the end of it. Moreover, it was bottomless. This should be the crack that was split open. Lin Xian walked forward and came to the cliff of the canyon. He narrowed his eyes and looked around. The energy around the canyon was even more chaotic. Moreover, as a swordsman, Lin Xian could acutely sense that there was still a trace of sword intent left in the canyon. Carefully sensing it, he could feel his heart palpitating. How frightening. Just what kind of person was able to do this? One sword split the stars. In the following days, Lin Xian did not leave the canyon. He stayed in the canyon to comprehend the sword intent. Although the remnant sword intent was already very weak. However, Lin Xian still carefully sensed it. Moreover, he found that the deeper he went into the canyon, the more terrifying the sword intent was. There were even some places that Lin Xian did not dare to casually step into. Buzz! Suddenly, an unusually fierce energy wave came from under Lin Xian's feet, piercing the ground. Lin Xian's figure flickered, and he instantly dodged. Puff! The void where he was standing was split in half. A crack slowly disappeared. Chapter 30:18. Someone? Lin Xian frowned. He didn't expect someone to be hiding under his feet. In the next moment, he was stunned when he looked over, because the person in front of him was different from what he had imagined. It couldn't even be called a human. The other party was translucent, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Although it had 4 limbs, its head was too ferocious. On its back, There were even a few sword chi that pierced the clouds as if it was going to tear the sky apart. What the hell was this? Lin Xian was stunned. Heitu's voice sounded in his ears. This was a sword spirit beast. Heitu was usually painted as an earring and hung in Lin Xian's ear. Usually, it could be used as a spirit boat, and when there was nothing to do, it could be used as a storage space. Hearing Heitu's words, Lin Xian was stunned. Sword spirit beast? It was formed from powerful sword chi, combined with sword intent, after various mutations. It was a mutated existence similar to a life form. Was it similar to the Moon Shadow Man in the Moon Palace? Lin Xian asked. Well, it could be understood that way. However, the Moon Shadow Man should be created, and these sword spirit beasts should be naturally grown. This canyon had been cleaved open by a peerless expert and contained an extremely powerful sword intent. After countless years of changes, coupled with the energy of this waste planet, the sword spirit beast was born. Kid, be careful. This sword spirit beast was not weak. Moreover, it contained a kind of self-strengthening sword chi that could not be underestimated. So that's how it was. Lin Xian understood. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the translucent monster in front of him. The corner of his mouth raised into a smile. Very good. Sword spirit beast? Let me feel just how strong your sword soul is. Roar. In front of him, the sword spirit beast let out a roar, shattering the void. It rushed over like a sword towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't dodge at all. He stood there quietly. When the sword spirit beast approached, he clenched his fist and punched out. Buzz. The sword spirit beast emitted a biting cold sword light, forming a sword curtain that enveloped Lin Xian. This power was indeed shocking. Even the invincible kings would feel their scalps go numb. Soon, Lin Xian was engulfed by the endless sword light, but in the next moment, the sword light was torn apart. A golden light shot up into the sky. Lin Xian swung his fist, shattering the sword screen and rushing out. Not only that, but the punch also landed on the sword soul beast, producing a loud clang. Wong. The sword spirit beast was sent flying and let out a miserable roar. Half of its body had been smashed into nothingness. There was no blood, but the sword spirit beast was injured. His shattered sword energy slowly healed and reformed. It was obvious that he was furious. With a roar, he soared into the sky. His body emitted a biting cold sword chi as he quickly charged over. It was unbearable for the sword soul beast to be injured. Lin Xian snorted coldly and stepped forward. As the Nine Suns' divine fist moved, the void cracked open. The sword spirit beast was shrouded in endless golden light. Its miserable cries resounded through the 9 heavens. The sword spirit beast was strong, but unfortunately, Lin Xian was stronger. The 9 Suns' divine fist directly blew up the sword spirit beast with 3 punches. After being blown up, the sword spirit beast turned into a wisp of sword chi that drifted between heaven and earth. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian exclaimed in surprise. He waved his hand and caught the sword chi in his hand. What a biting cold sword chi. He wondered what would happen if the dragon sword spirit swallowed it. He summoned the dragon sword spirit and swallowed the wisp of sword chi. In the next moment, the dragon sword spirit let out a loud dragon roar as if it was very excited. This scene made Lin Xian's eyes light up. It seemed that the sword chi could provide the dragon sword spirit with power. That couldn't be better. Thinking of this, Lin Xian began to hunt the sword spirit beasts. In the next few days, Lin Xian wandered around the canyon. As long as he found a sword spirit beast, he would not let it go. Gradually, he went deeper and deeper, and this time, 10 sword spirit beasts appeared at the same time. The 10 sword spirit beasts were of different sizes, but each of them exuded a biting cold sword intent. As soon as they appeared, they surrounded Lin Xian tightly and let out an uneasy roar. In an instant, the 10 sword spirit beasts attacked. They instantly appeared in all directions around Lin Xian. The sword chi on their bodies turned into a peerless sword light and rushed over. Clang! The fire Qilin sword was unsheathed and Lin Xian held it in his hand. The long sword swept across all directions. 9 suns opened the sky. Under the sword, all the sword spirit beasts were cut in half. At the same time, a dragon head appeared on Lin Xian's body and swallowed all the sword chi formed by the sword spirit beasts. 99 sword chi. Lin Xian exhaled. He could sense that the dragon's sword spirit had recovered a little. This made him very happy. Not only that, in the process of killing these sword spirit beasts, Lin Xian began to gradually comprehend and create some sword moves. Although these sword moves were not as earth-shattering as the 9 Yang swordplay, they were the most suitable for him. Although they were just embryonic forms of sword moves, if others were here and heard it, they would be scared silly. How old was Lin Xian? And he had already started to create his own martial arts. This was absolutely amazing. Lin Xian's sword was getting sharper and more straightforward, simple and direct. This move was called one red dot by him. With a stab of the sword, the 7 sword spirit beasts in front of him split open between their eyebrows and their bodies turned into nothingness. If it was a human martial artist, a red would appear between their eyebrows and the person and soul would be instantly destroyed. This was a fatal blow, not giving the opponent's soul a chance to escape. After killing dozens of sword spirit beasts and swallowing their sword chi, Lin Xian frowned. He sensed a powerful aura in front of him. This aura was too strong, surpassing all the previous sword spirit beasts combined. Could it be that there was an even more terrifying sword spirit beast? He did not know. He decided to go down and investigate. After walking for an instant's time, Lin Xian finally came to a halt. In the next moment, a golden light burst out from his eyes as he stared at something not far away. It was a stalk of grass, half a meter tall. It was gray in color and was very similar to the surrounding scenery. However, this was not the main point. The main point was that this stalk of grass was too sharp, like a divine sword that was inserted into the ground. The aura it emitted made even Lin Xian's body tremble slightly. What kind of grass is this? It's too terrifying. Lin Xian was surprised. He felt a sharp, unyielding, and indestructible will from it. An ordinary stalk of grass grew on top of the sword chi, and together with the indestructible sword intent, it finally formed such a state. This was an incredible thing for a swordsman, He Tu said. After Lin Xian heard this, he swallowed his saliva and a fiery light burst out from his eyes. Indeed, it was an incredible thing. This thing would be of great help to the improvement of his sword Dao. Therefore, he had to get this thing. Buzz. Lin Xian just stretched out his palm and grabbed in front of him. However, a biting cold sword chi in the sky slashed on the golden hand and shook his palm back. Lin Xian's pupils constricted as he felt a terrifying aura rushing towards him. Chapter 30:19. Buzz. He turned into nothingness, and the place where he was originally standing was mercilessly torn apart. A translucent claw slowly disappeared. Lin Xian appeared in the air far off in the distance, frowning as he looked ahead. How terrifying! A sword soul beast appeared in front of him, but this sword soul beast was too terrifying. It was more than 10 times stronger than the sword soul beast from before. Not only that, the aura on its body was too terrifying, and it looked like a dragon. A sword dragon with 18 sword chi on its back, flickering with a cold light like scales. The sword soul beast was simply too powerful. It had already surpassed a genius like the Fire Dragon King, Situ Shoutian, and Yuan Kuei. This fellow already had 60,000 units of Archean power, right? Lin Xian sighed. He didn't expect that there would be such an existence in the canyon. If this sword soul beast was placed in the true spirit world, it could definitely sweep through the human race and Archean geniuses. Even if it was placed in the extraordinary warrior manner, ordinary monsters wouldn't be its opponent. It could be said that this was definitely a peerless beast. Below, the sword soul beast stared at Lin Xian, and a fiery red light appeared in its eyes. Had he developed emotions already? Kid, you have to be careful, He Tu reminded. Lin Xian nodded. Just nice. Those sword soul beasts from before didn't interest me. This one shouldn't disappoint me. The fire Qilin's sword in his hand bloomed. Roar! Roar! The sword soul beast stared at Lin Xian and roared crazily. However, it didn't act rashly. Obviously, It should have sensed that the youth in front of it was very dangerous. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He also saw the other party's intention. This sword soul beast seemed to have its eyes on the grass. However, how could he give up? In the next moment, he looked at the huge monster in front of him and sneered. Use whatever means you have. If you don't, then obediently become my sword chi and provide energy for me. Lin Xian looked at him with a fiery gaze. If the great dragon sword soul were to devour this sword soul beast, it would probably be as powerful as all the other sword soul beasts combined. How could Lin Xian not be tempted? Hearing Lin Xian's words, the sword spirit beast roared angrily. It opened its mouth and spat out a sword wave. The sword waves were so dense that they completely enveloped the space where Lin Xian was. Boom! The space shattered as a destructive force tried to tear apart Lin Xian's body. He was indeed very strong. Lin Xian's fire Qilin sword was far more powerful than the previous sword spirit beasts. Lin Xian's fire Qilin sword turned into an arc in the air. Like a fire Qilin, it rushed out. It shattered the surrounding destructive energy. At the same time, he struck out with his sword. The sword light shone as if it was splitting the world apart. He charged toward the sword soul beast. Ding ding dang dang. The two began to fight. Lin Xian was an expert in sword Dao, and the sword spirit beast's sword chi was even sharper. He came from the sword intent that split the stars. Although it had been many years, it was still extremely terrifying. So when they fought, it was equivalent to two peerless swordsmen fighting. Sword chi versus sword chi. Each of them was like a real dragon, splitting the world apart and breaking everything. The two fought in the sky, and the battle was abnormally terrifying. Lin Xian did not use anything else. He only used his sword chi to fight against the sword soul beast because he wanted to hone his sword Dao. Red dot. Lin Xian stabbed out with his sword. This was a sword light that he had figured out himself. Sure enough, in the next moment, the sword chi stabbed toward the sword soul beast's glabella. Clang! The glabella of the sword soul beast cracked, and its body was almost split in half. However, its strength was incomparably strong, and in the end, it survived. With a roar, it turned into a demonic beast and roared to the 9 heavens. Its body was shrouded in sword chi, and the cracked glabella was restored again. Almost. Lin Xian sighed inwardly. It was a pity that he was still figuring out the red dot, and it was not perfect. Otherwise, this sword would have been able to kill the sword soul beast. Buzz! The sword soul beast roared, and the 18 sword spirits behind it flew out and turned into a divine sword that fell from the sky. With a boom, it collided with the blazing Qilin sword, causing it to tremble. The second and third sword spirits came. Lin Xian kept dodging, and at the same time, countless sword chi rushed out from his body to fight against the sword spirits. However, these 18 sword spirits were very terrifying. One of them hit Lin Xian, and Lin Xian was sent flying. That was interesting. Lin Xian laughed. This sword had slightly injured him, but he did not care at all. Instead, he quickly attacked again. One sword, another sword. Lin Xian's sword technique was getting fiercer and fiercer, and there were mysterious runes when he attacked. Puff. Finally, this sword pierced the sword soul beast's body, creating a hole. The sword soul beast cried out in pain and wanted to recover. However, Lin Xian would not let go of such a good opportunity. He used the 9 sun sword technique, and all kinds of mystic skills were used. Finally, the sword soul beast was shattered into pieces. Roar! The great dragon sword soul rushed out and absorbed the scattered sword chi. Lin Xian did not immediately take the sword-shaped grass. Instead, he sat down with his legs crossed and let the dragon sword spirit refine the sword chi. After about an hour, Lin Xian opened his eyes and stood up again. He looked at the sword-shaped grass. Next, it was time to collect the sword star grass. The sword chi on the sword-shaped grass was very powerful, and it was even more terrifying than the sword soul beast. Therefore, Lin Xian had to be more careful. He opened his palms and formed one ancient seal after another, forming a cage and covering the area in front of him. However, when he was 10 meters away from the sword-shaped grass, the grass reacted, and its soft leaves fluttered in the wind. Tens of thousands of sword chi surged out in all directions, directly piercing through the few talismans that Lin Xian had sent out. So powerful. Lin Xian was surprised. He used the azure dragon hand, and countless sword chi intertwined, forming a dragon head and grabbing forward. In an instant, the sword-shaped grass was covered. He used his strength and pulled out the sword-shaped grass. However, in the next moment, his expression changed. Not good. A powerful sword chi exploded from the sword-shaped grass. A gray sword chi pierced through the air and pushed back the azure dragon hand, and rushed into the clouds. Lin Xian's palm was bleeding. He was shocked. What a terrifying sword intent. Lin Xian was shocked. This gray sword chi was like a godly red color, piercing through the air. It went straight into the clouds. Lin Xian's expression looked terrible. It seemed that he would need to do something to suppress the sword-shaped grass. Just as Lin Xian was about to attack again, the clouds in the sky started to roll, and the sound of air being pierced was heard. Streams of powerful auras gushed downwards. Someone was coming. Lin Xian frowned. He wanted to speed up, but the people above seemed to have sensed it. They roared, "How dare you!" Chapter 30:20. A piercingly cold ray of light descended from the sky, shattering the void as it slashed downwards. 3 terrifying green silhouettes shot towards Lin Xian, entangling him. Lin Xian's face darkened. He didn't take the attack head-on. Instead, he moved his body to the side and dodged the 2 cold attacks. He raised his head and looked up. Above him, the void shattered, and a group of powerful people descended. They stood in the void, looking down at the ground. The sword intent of a blade of grass. What a horrifying sword chi. To have such a sword intent, this was definitely something good. The people who appeared all stared at the sword-shaped grass. Congratulations, young Master Yun. Congratulations. Many people shouted excitedly at the white-clothed youth at the front. The young man in white smiled and nodded. Hee hee, I'm so lucky. Looks like I can improve my sword Dao again. Hoodlum, go and bring me the sword-shaped grass. The young man in white said proudly. Beside him, there was a young man in a beast robe. After hearing the order, he flew downwards. When he was halfway, he was struck back by a sword. He screamed in pain, and blood dyed the sky red. Hoodlum's frantic screams rang out. The people above were stunned as well. The young man in white, young Master Yun's face darkened. The others roared. Damn it, who was it? Could it be that the power of the sword-shaped grass was so horrifying? No, someone did it. It was that guy. They stared at a young man in red on the side. Kid, was it you who did it? Their voices were cold. Many of them emitted a powerful aura. So unfamiliar. Who is he? I don't know. I'll just cripple him. Since he dared to attack us, we'll make him wish he was dead. These people's voices were cold and murderous. The young man in red on the ground was naturally Lin Xian. At this moment, Lin Xian frowned. He looked at the people in front of him. He didn't know these people. From the pictures on their clothes, he couldn't tell which sect they were from. Were they from another mountain in the House of Prodigy? He didn't know either. However, the other party actually dared to snatch his things. This was something he could not tolerate. Therefore, in the next moment, he said coldly, that sword strike just now was a warning to you. This thing is mine. Hurry up and leave. Don't force me to make a move. Hearing those words, the people above were stunned. What? Is it yours? These people looked up to the sky and laughed as if they had heard the funniest joke. Kid, do you know who you're talking to? Whatever we want, it's ours. How dare you compete with us? Obediently cripple your own hands, kneel on the ground, and await death. Little doll, it seems like you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Which sect are you from? What an arrogant tone. Where are you guys from? Lin Xian countered. These people were very arrogant. This was already a blatant robbery. Listen carefully. We are from the Heavenly Clouds Mansion. This is our young Master Yun. If you know what's good for you, kneel here obediently. Otherwise, you're dead meat. Heavenly Clouds Mansion? Never heard of it. Lin Xian coldly shook his head. As I said, I found this thing first. Moreover, His guardian beast was also killed by me. This is my spoil of war, and no one is allowed to touch it. I'll give you one last chance, scram or die. Lin Xian's body emitted a biting cold killing intent. This answer stunned those people in the sky. Don't know them? Don't know the Heavenly Clouds mansion? How is that possible? Since the other party could come here, it meant that they weren't trash. They must have some talent and strength. Then why haven't they heard of them? The next moment, the eyes of the white-clothed youth in the center burst out with a biting cold light. You're not from the hero star. What hero star? Lin Xian was also stunned. Could it be that these people were from other star worlds? If he didn't know before, then? Now, after entering the extraordinary warrior mansion, he knew that there were thousands of worlds in the universe. Their true spirit world was just one of them. In addition, there were many star worlds. It seemed that these people in front of him weren't from their true spirit world. Lin Xian's answer once again stunned those people above. The white-clothed youth's face sank. He's not from our hero star. He should be from other star worlds. Kill him. As his voice fell, in the sky, two figures cut through the void and rushed over. These two people were wearing battle armor that flickered with a metallic luster, blooming with mysterious runes. Two battle swords appeared in their hands, emitting a sonorous sound. The battle sword waved, and a terrifying sword chi enveloped Lin Xian. The other person's sword chi cut off all of Lin Xian's escape routes. Obviously, these two were Heaven's Pride experts. Their first move was a fatal blow. Moreover, they were very experienced and didn't give Lin Xian any chance to escape. Lin Xian snorted coldly, waved the fire scale sword, turned into a fire qilin, and flew into the void. On the other side, he formed a seal with his palm, turning it into a golden pagoda that suppressed the surroundings. With a boom, the sky fell and the earth cracked. The two people were sent flying, vomiting blood. Their faces were full of shock. Those in the sky were also stunned. What? This kid is so strong. Oh, it's quite lively. At this moment, another mocking voice sounded. Then, on the other side of the sky, there was a fluctuation of energy, and a huge battleship flew over. On the battleship, there were a few figures with equally terrifying auras. Silver Fox, why are you here? Seeing the battleship and the people on it, young Master Yun also frowned. On the battleship stood a woman in a silver robe. Her hair was silver, and even her eyes were silver. Silver Fox heard this and chuckled. What a joke. These ruins don't belong to you. Why can't I come? There's a single sword star grass below. What a powerful sword intent. Silver Fox's eyes flickered as he stared below. Damn it, I found it. Young Master Yun shouted coldly. If you know what's good for you, take your people and leave quickly. Let me tell you, I've brought a lot of people this time. I'm not afraid of you. Is that so? Silver Fox narrowed his eyes when he heard this. Humph. Below, Lin Xian snorted. Another one? Very well, I'll tell you the same thing. This sword is mine. Both of you, get out of here. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and his body emitted a biting cold aura. A terrifying and monstrous force was about to erupt. In the sky, the people on the battleship were also stunned when they heard this. There's someone else? Who is this? Seeing that there's only one person, he must be from his previous life. This scene left them stunned. The people on the battleship looked at young Master Yun and the others. Young Master Yun snorted coldly. He's not from the hero planet. I wonder which planet he's from. Just kill him. Don't worry. Not from the hero planet? No wonder. Silver Fox nodded. A man behind her snorted. No wonder. How dare he talk to Master Silver Fox like this? Chapter 30:21. In their world, no one dared to speak to them like this. However, even if you're not from the heavenly star, you'll still die if you go against Lord Silver Fox. Now, go to hell. The youth shouted coldly and waved his hand. A large silver palm descended from the sky like a giant mountain. On his palm, there were many mysterious runes. When Lin Xian saw this, he exclaimed in surprise. A hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. His figure swayed and dodged the attack. At the same time, he asked, Silver Clan? You actually know our identity. On the warship, Silver Fox was shocked. The youth who attacked was also surprised. The other party actually dodged his attack and recognized their identity. Who was this person? Lin Xian was even more shocked. The other party should be from the Hero Planet. But why would the Hero Planet have people from the Silver Clan? Could it be that the Silver Clan didn't only exist in the true spirit world? They existed in the myriad worlds? Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. He suddenly remembered that Xia Juyo seemed to have said that some of the 10,000 ancient races were natives of the true spirit world. Another group came from the outer realms. It was just that it was so long ago that not many people knew about it. Now that Lin Xian came to the outer realms and saw the Silver Clan of other planets, he finally knew. It turned out that this saying was true. The myriad worlds in the outer realms also had the 10,000 ancient races. How strong were they? Have you ever been in a deep sleep? The Silver Clan. Huh? How nostalgic. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. It's been a long time since I killed someone from the Silver Clan. Why? Are you sure you want to do it today? Hearing this, the faces of the Silver Clan on the warship sank. The other party dared to kill them? And from the looks of it, the other party seemed to have killed someone from the Silver Clan before. Kid, no matter which planet you're from, you dared to kill someone from the Silver Clan. You've committed a heinous crime. Now, no one in the world can save you. The youth who attacked before walked out. His name was Silver Gray. At this moment, a silver spear appeared in his hand. He charged over like lightning. He brandished his silver spear, thrusting it towards Lin Xian's head. The first thing he did was to kill, and he showed no mercy. Lin Xian coldly snorted as he brandished his blazing Qilin sword and slashed at the silver spear, producing a thunderous sound. A huge crack appeared in space. This sword strike sent his opponent flying. You are no match for me, Lin Xian said indifferently, not taking the other party seriously at all. Damn it. Yin Hui was so angry that he vomited blood. He didn't expect his opponent to be so strong. A single strike was enough to force him back. Again. I didn't use my full strength just now. No need. Lin Xian shook his head. You can't do it. Don't let your master do it. He had his eyes on the woman called Silver Fox. He could feel a terrifying aura coming from Silver Fox. This kid was interesting. Although I don't know which star world you are from, you have piqued my interest. How about this? I won't make things difficult for you. I'll send out 3 palm strikes. If you can take 3 of my palms, I will turn around and leave. I don't want that stalk of grass anymore. If you can't, don't blame me for killing you. Speaking of this, Silver Fox's body exploded with a murderous aura that shot up into the sky. Silver runes appeared on her body one after another, spinning rapidly, making her look like an immortal. You think too highly of yourself? 3 palm strikes it is. Come on. Lin Xian waved his hand impatiently. Young Master Yun, are we going to make a move? On the other side, those people asked in a low voice. Young Master Yun shook his head slightly. There was no hurry. Let's take a look at Silver Fox first. Even though it was 3 palms, this kid might not even be able to block a single one of them. He might even be killed instantly. Don't forget that Silver Fox was the pride of the Silver Tribe. You should know how terrifying the Silver Tribe is. Hearing this, the Sky Prides behind him shuddered, and a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. Kid, you are very arrogant. Many people have been arrogant in front of me, but they have all gone to hell. You are no exception. Silver Fox looked at the figure below and slowly raised her hand. Take the first palm strike. As she spoke, she pressed her hand downward. Countless silver runes jumped on her palm. It was as if the sky was pressing down. This palm strike was much more powerful than the one Silver Ash had used before. Boom. In an instant, it enveloped Lin Xian. With a loud boom, the place where he was completely destroyed. The void shattered, the earth sank, and countless black holes appeared. Seeing this scene, the people of the Silver Tribe on the battleship looked up to the sky and laughed. Haha, I thought it was a powerful kid. I didn't expect that he couldn't even take 1 palm strike. Of course. How dare he attack our Master Silver Fox? He must be tired of living. On the other side, the people of the Heavenly Cloud Mansion were also discussing. Young Master Yun snorted coldly. I knew that kid was trash. Our real opponent is Silver Fox. Is he that weak? Silver Fox shook his head as well. He lifted his gaze and no longer paid attention to it. She looked at young Master Yun in the distance. Those people were her real opponents. However, in the next moment, her beautiful face froze and her expression became stunned. A voice came from the void of the black hole below. Is this the power of the Silver Tribe's prodigy? That's all there is to it. What? Hearing this, Silver Fox's eyelids twitched wildly. The people of the Silver Tribe felt their scalps go numb. On the other side, the prodigies of the Silver Tribe were also stunned. Everyone hurriedly turned their heads and looked down. From the black hole below, a figure walked out. He was as golden as a god, and his body emitted thousands of rays of light. He's not dead. These people looked at the other party with a stunned expression. Many people's pupils shrank, and they screamed. He's not injured. How is that possible? If he's not dead, they can still take it, but he's not injured. What the hell? How can he not be injured? That was Silver Fox's attack. These prodigies knew how terrifying Silver Fox was. She could easily kill an invincible king with a single attack. However, the kid in front of them was not injured at all. What's going on? Damn it! His golden physique. What is this? Which world is he from? Silver Fox was also stunned. Soon, she sneered. It seems that I've underestimated you. I didn't expect you to be a body-tempering expert. No wonder you dared to make this bet with me. I was careless for the first attack, but what about the next two? You still can't take them. Silver Fox regained her confidence again. She was the prodigy of the Silver Tribe. What could be out of her control? Although there was a small accident earlier, she still had 2 more attacks left. Buzz. She raised her palm again. This time, countless runes intertwined and turned into a huge fox. It accompanied the palm and attacked. Her strength became terrifying again. Obviously, Silver Fox did not use her full strength last time. Chapter 3022. Celestial Fox Palm? That's a powerful skill. I didn't expect Silver Fox to be able to use it. Looks like that was a sure kill attack. That's for sure. Silver Fox has lost face for not being able to kill Lin Xian with one strike. Silver Fox will definitely kill him. The Sky Prides in the distance discussed. The people of the Silver Clan sneered again. So what if he's still alive? He's just an ant. Even if he dodged the attack, he'll still die. Boom. This time, the destructive power was even more terrifying than before. Huge black holes and cracks filled the sky. Apart from the Starsword grass, there was basically no place that was intact. He should be dead this time, right? That's for sure. How can that kid survive after using the Celestial Fox Palm? Unless he's not human? No matter how strong that kid is, he's just an invincible king. He can't turn the world around. This time, everyone was confident. Not only Silver Fox's side, but young Master Yun's side was also confident. They all thought that Lin Xian was dead meat. You've become stronger, but that's all. Is that all you've got? If that's the case, I'm really disappointed. Below, a provocative voice came from the black hole again. What? He's not dead yet. Those people's eyelids twitched wildly, and they almost fell from the sky. How is that possible? Their eyes widened as if they had seen a ghost. He's not dead yet? That's the Celestial Fox Palm. Impossible. I don't believe it. That kid must have used some secret technique to dodge it, right? The people of the Silver Clan roared crazily. They didn't believe that someone could withstand their Celestial Fox Palm, not to mention that it was launched by Silver Fox herself. Silver Fox also frowned. 2 silver lightning bolts shot out from her beautiful eyes and pierced through the void. In the next moment, she saw the golden figure walk out again. The light on his body was still as bright as before. He's still not injured. These people are crazy. Which world is he from? How can he be so powerful? Could he be one of those super powerhouses from the ancient path of the stars? Thinking of that, their eyelids twitched. If he was really one of those people, they were really dead this time. Impossible. Young Master Yun shook his head as well. They all knew about the freakish geniuses on the ancient path of stars, But this guy was too unfamiliar. He wasn't one of them. This brat should have some kind of secret technique or treasure that allowed him to dodge the attack in an instant. Otherwise, his physical body alone would not be able to contend against the Sky Fox palm. These people still refused to believe that Lin Xian had blocked the attack with pure physical strength. They did not know about Lin Xian, nor did they know about the 9-yang divine body. In their opinion, no one could compete with the Silver Clan in terms of physique. Lord Silver Fox, I'll kill him. This brat was too strange. A few of the Silver race's prodigies gritted their teeth. Silver Fox frowned, and a murderous aura appeared in her eyes. She shook her head slightly and said, "No need. I'll deal with him myself." In the next moment, her aura became fierce. Behind him, the shadow of a heavenly fox appeared. When its eyes opened and closed, they emitted a terrifying light. Her aura had also become even more terrifying. His silver hair fluttered in the wind. It was incomparably thick, and the void beneath his feet was bending. They could not withstand it at all. The prodigies in the distance trembled and shrunk their necks when they sensed this power. It was too terrifying. They probably would not be able to withstand the next attack at all. This brat had completely angered Silver Fox. They wondered what kind of technique Silver Fox would use this time. Needless to say, it would definitely be the Sky Fox palm. The Silver Clan had many means and abilities. It would not be difficult for them to kill this brat. It was just that Silver Fox was not serious before. Silver Lightning Palm. This time, countless terrifying lightning bolts appeared on the other party's palm. This scene caused even young Master Yun to frown, and his expression became grave. Obviously, he had heard of the Silver Lightning Palm. Moreover, it could pose a threat to him. This time, he would definitely be able to kill the other party. This brat's soul would probably dissipate. He should be proud of being able to die under the Silver Lightning Palm. He deserved it. Who asked him to provoke Silver Fox? Everyone laughed coldly. The Silver Lightning Palm slapped down from the sky. The sky collapsed and the earth trembled. Nothing could stop it. However, the outcome of the matter was beyond everyone's expectations. These people widened their eyes as if they had seen a ghost. They trembled, and many people's faces turned pale. Who was he? Who exactly was he? He must be a monster on the ancient path of stars. Otherwise, he could not be so powerful. Which world was he from? Why was he unharmed? These people were about to cry, because they realized that under such a terrifying third palm, the other party was still unharmed. The people of the Silver Clan grabbed their hair. This time, other than anger, there was also a strong sense of fear in their eyes. Even Silver Fox's expression was incomparably serious. She knew that she had been careless. She had underestimated the other party. The other party was either extremely powerful or had a heaven-defying treasure in his hands. Regardless of which one it was worthy of her careful treatment. I didn't expect that I would be wrong today. You're still an expert. Very well. After 3 moves, I'll keep my promise. I won't attack you again, and I won't snatch the sword traversal grass. Silver Fox turned around and waved her hand. Let's go. In the sky, the huge battleship rumbled and was about to fly into the distance. Was she leaving? The people on young Master Yun's side also frowned. They did not expect Silver Fox to give up just like that. This made them heave a sigh of relief. Well, one less competitor. However, in the next moment, they were all stunned. Some of them even almost fell from the sky, because the red figure below said indifferently, "Wait, did I say you could leave?" What? The people on young Master Yun's side were stunned. Silver Fox's body stiffened, and the huge battleship stopped in the air. The people of the Silver Clan turned their heads frantically, and a piercing cold light burst out from their eyes. "Kid, what are you trying to do? How dare you stop us? Don't think that you can stop us. Don't think that you can be arrogant in front of us just because you took 3 of Master Silver Fox's palm strikes. The Silver Clan is the uncrowned king. You'd better think about the consequences of offending the Silver Clan." These people roared crazily. Silver Fox also turned her head, and her beautiful brows were tightly knitted. "What? How dare you stop me?" Lin Xian said with a smile. "Since I took 3 of your palm strikes, Why don't you take one of my punches? After saying that, he took a step forward, and the aura on his body changed instantly. It was dazzling before, but now it was piercingly cold. It was as if a peerless god of war was quickly awakening. His black hair was almost turning golden, and the red robe on his body was also shrouded in golden light. The golden fist was like the sun, flickering with dazzling light. A terrifying and ferocious power burst out from his body. How was this power possible? How could this kid release such a powerful force? The surrounding people sensed the terrifying power of the punch, and their expressions changed instantly. In the sky, the people of the Silver Clan also felt their hearts beat wildly. Silver Fox's face turned pale. How was this possible? Chapter 30:23. Damn it! Silver Fox shouted coldly and struck out with her palm. At this moment, she did not dare to be careless. Her opponent's punch was too terrifying. Who the hell are you? She screamed crazily as she struck out with her palm. No one answered her. There was only a golden fist, carrying a golden holy light, rushing towards her. With a boom, the two collided in the sky. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. It was as if a great destruction had occurred. A terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions. Oh no! Hurry up and defend. These people instantly rushed out of the king domain, and their armor shone brightly. More people retreated. After waiting for a very long time, the energy in the sky finally started to slowly dissipate. Lin Xian retracted his fist and stood with his hands behind his back. A silver light bloomed in the sky. This worship was also an ancient treasure. The prodigies of the Silver Tribe could not stand properly. Many of them directly fell to the ground. Although a few of them were standing, their faces were extremely pale. In front of them was Silver Fox. At this moment, Silver Fox's body was trembling, and her right hand hung limply. There wasn't a trace of color on her beautiful face. Who the hell are you? Her eyelashes were trembling. The palm strike just now had directly shattered her right arm. She could not use any strength at all. If she was not a prodigy of the Silver Tribe, she would have been beaten up by now. But how could his physique be so strong? Who the hell was he? How could he suppress the physique of the Silver Tribe? She was going crazy. Looking at the shocked faces of the people around him and Silver Fox's ugly smile, Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. You don't have the right to know who I am. Get lost. I don't want to kill you today. Although these words made the prodigies of the Silver Tribe angry, they did not dare to say anything. Silver Fox took a deep breath and tried to control her anger. But in the end, she did not make a move. Good boy. I'll remember you. The next time we meet, I won't let you go so easily. Let's go. Silver Fox shouted coldly. The huge warship turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the void. Silver Fox actually left just like that. Young Master Yun's men were dumbfounded. Silver Fox was such a strong woman that even they had to be careful when facing her. He didn't dare to be impudent. But now, Silver Fox was actually provoked by the other party. After punching him, he didn't do anything and just left. This was truly inconceivable. There was only one possibility. Silver Fox was afraid of the kid in front of him. However, this result was even more unbelievable to them. One has already left. What about you guys? To die or to leave? Lin Xian looked at him. Under Lin Xian's gaze, the sky prides in the sky trembled. Previously, they had disdained such a person. But now, Lin Xian had forcefully received 3 of Silver Fox's palms and injured him with one punch. Such strength was enough to shock and even terrify them. Young Master Yun. Many geniuses had ugly expressions on their faces as they asked the young man in white for his opinion. Young Master Yun's face darkened. A bunch of trash. I'll do it myself. Although Silver Fox had left, he would not leave. The star's word grass below was very tempting to him. If he could obtain it, his swordsmanship would improve once again. So what if the other party injured Silver Fox? In his opinion, Silver Fox was an idiot. She was just careless. If Silver Fox had used all her strength from the beginning and fought seriously, she probably wouldn't have lost. He would never make such a mistake. Kid, I admit that you've exceeded my expectations. You're very strong, but you're still no match for me. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. You can be proud that you'll die under my white cloud sword." Young Master Yun walked out and drew a long sword. The long sword was incomparably white, as if it was condensed from the feathers of an angel. It emitted an ethereal aura. At this moment, young Master Yun's figure also changed. He seemed to have merged with the clouds and was illusory. In an instant, tens of thousands of young Master Yun's figures appeared in the sky and on the ground. Each of them was illusory. However, each of them was incomparably real. It was impossible to tell where the real one was. "Kid, no one has been able to leave alive after entering my white cloud sword. You're very unlucky. Now, go to hell." The tens of thousands of illusory figures spoke at the same time. Each of them seemed to be real. Hee, I didn't expect this kid to be so stupid. He entered young Master Yun's white cloud sword so easily. That was for sure. He probably didn't know how powerful young Master Yun was. No matter what, entering young Master Yun's white cloud sword formation was equivalent to having one foot in hell. It would be difficult for him to come out again. In the distance, those people sneered. Lin Xian frowned. Looking at the countless illusory figures around him, he snorted coldly. "White cloud sword formation. You're courting death if you want to compete with me in swordsmanship." Buzz. He clasped his 10 fingers together. Sword waves flashed on his fingertips. Then, he flicked his finger. With him as the center, the sword waves swept out in all directions. Bang, bang, bang. The sword waves that filled the sky cut through the void and hit the illusory figures. The illusory figures quickly shattered. Sword waves? Is he a swordsman? The sky prides in the distance exclaimed. Isn't this kid a body cultivator? They had seen Lin Xian's powerful physique before, so they thought that Lin Xian was a body cultivator. But now, Lin Xian actually released such a biting cold sword wave. It surprised them. Who the hell was this kid? In the sky, the tens of thousands of illusory figures disappeared. At that moment, a voice descended from the sky. "Kid, you guessed wrong. Go to hell." The person who descended from the sky was young Master Yun. Although he was also shocked by how his opponent could release such a biting cold sword wave, it was no longer important. He could take his opponent's life with this sword. "I've been guarding against you for a long time." Lin Xian waved his hand and grabbed at the air in front of him. The golden hand rushed forward like a mountain. With a clang, the white cloud sword slashed at the golden hand, creating countless sparks. What? It didn't shatter? Young Master Yun's pupils shrank as he quickly retreated. He didn't expect his opponent's physique to be so strong. He had actually managed to block his sword. This was unbelievable. Is he still human? However, he was a top-notch expert. As he retreated, he had already performed his follow-up sword techniques. Densely packed, they pierced towards Lin Xian. He didn't believe that his opponent's physique was so strong. He could defend against it. Buzz. Xin Xian didn't take it head-on. He pulled out the blazing Qilin sword and waved it, letting out a dragon's roar. Clang. The flaming sword swept out, transforming into tens of thousands of illusory figures. The white cloud sword collided. It's here. This kid is indeed a swordsman. The sky prides exclaimed. Young Master Yun's pupil shrank. He could feel a biting cold and vast power coming from his opponent's sword. The white cloud sword that hit him was buzzing and trembling. Heaven and earth became ethereal. Young Master Yun's figure became even more illusory. His sword techniques were even more unpredictable. An unbelievable attack to kill Lin Xian. Chapter 3024. Buzz. Golden light flickered on Lin Xian's body as mysterious runes bloomed one after another. The power of the 9 Yang divine body was fully manifested. The sword Qi was completely blocked by him. Not only that, the blazing Qilin sword in his hand came to life like a fire dragon, sweeping in all directions. What kind of sword technique was that? Young Master Yun's body trembled. He would have been injured if it weren't for his extraordinary strength and ethereal sword technique. Even so, When Lin Xian's sword collided with his longsword, his blood boiled and he was almost injured. Not to mention attacking, he found it hard to believe that the other party was so powerful. Infinite Golden Cloud Strike. It was another sure kill move. The sword light tore through the golden light in the sky and pierced toward Lin Xian's heart. The void shattered. Lin Xian retreated, but the light on his body became even colder. It turned into wisps of golden sword light that shot into the sky. The blazing Qilin's sword in his hand slashed in front of him. Boom! The two long swords intertwined in the sky. Lin Xian blocked the sure kill move. Not only that, he used the 9-yang sword technique and sent Lin Xian's longsword flying. Impossible. How can you be so powerful? One of young Master Yun's arms was shattered. He was shocked and felt that his life was in danger. Who was Lin Xian? How could his sword technique be better than his? I said it before. Either get lost or die. If you don't get lost, don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. He was like a god of war, and a dragon's roar came from his body. Red dot. He used his self-created sword technique and split Lin Xian's glabella. Lin Xian screamed miserably. Lin Xian's body was shattered, but a strange jade pendant cracked between his eyebrows and protected his soul. Young Master Yun hurriedly retreated. Run, run. Young Master Yun didn't dare to say anything else. That was his trump card. It was used to save his life. If it wasn't for that thing, he would be dead by now. Therefore, he didn't dare to fight anymore. He turned into a ray of sword light and rushed into the sky to escape. The elites around him were dumbfounded. What was going on? Young Master Yun escaped? Oh God! Young Master Yun was defeated. This was impossible. These people were all crazy. Let's go too. Feeling Lin Xian's gaze, these people felt their scalps go numb and left in terror. For a moment, there was no one left in the canyon. Humph! Lin Xian coldly snorted. With a flick of his finger, a formation shot out, enveloping the surroundings. In the next moment, a sharp glint flashed across Zhang Xian's eyes as he stared at the starsward grass in front of him, preparing to collect it. His eyelids twitched, and the golden runes in his eyes automatically spread out. Who was it? Get your ass out here! Lin Xian roared. He clenched his hand into a fist and punched to the left. With a boom, the void shattered, and a figure landed lightly. He was not injured at all. Good lad, your soul is quite sharp. You can actually discover my existence? Who are you? Lin Xian frowned and turned to look behind him. Behind him was a gray-robed old man with a hunched nose and a cold smile on his face. There was a trace of passion in his eyes. Clearly, the other party was also eyeing the sword flow grass. Hiding the head and showing the tail, sneaking around. Who exactly are you? Lin Xian frowned. Previously, he did not sense the existence of this person. If the other party had not been agitated and leaked his aura, he would not have known that there was someone beside him. This old man was so sinister. Little guy, your strength is not bad. Your physique is strong, and your swordsmanship is high. I didn't expect that someone like you would appear on the ancient path of stars. However, I'm a stranger to you. Which world are you from? Tell me and see if I know you. Perhaps, if I know your sect, I can spare your life. Spare my life? What arrogance! Lin Xian sneered. The gray-robed old man was not angry. I know that you can injure Silver Fox and almost kill young Master Yun. Unfortunately, you will still die if you face me. My strength is above that of those two little kids. So, tell me where you are from. Give me your physique cultivation method and abhijna. If I'm in a good mood, I might spare your life. Lin Xian also frowned. He did not expect that after defeating young Master Yun and Silver Fox, another mysterious old man would come. Moreover, this old man's strength was much stronger than the previous two prodigies. However, it was impossible for him to hand over the sword flow grass and the 9-yang divine body. Lin Xian turned his head and stared at the gray-robed old man. It seemed that he had to make a move. The blazing Qilin's sword in his hand shone again. You dare to make a move against me? Boy, I have to say that you are quite brave. However, those who have made a move against me are already wandering in hell. Are you sure you want to make a move? The gray-robed old man sneered. He did not think that the young man in front of him was his opponent. To be honest, I think you are quite talented. In a few thousand years, you might become a half-saint. However, you are courting death now. In that case, I can only mercilessly kill you. A gray light emerged from the gray-robed old man's body, carrying an aura that could devour everything, shattering the void. The gray aura formed a gray flood dragon that circled around his body. The moment the gray flood dragon appeared, it was as heavy as 10,000 pounds, causing people's bodies to tremble. Lin Xin's blood qi also quickly surged. He knew that this was a difficult opponent, so he did not dare to be careless. The blazing Qilin's sword stabbed out, turning into an eternal light. You are courting death. The gray-robed old man waved his hand, and the gray flood dragon on his body charged out. The two collided, and the sound was deafening. Terrifying power surged like a vast ocean, surging. A radius of 1,000,000 miles was completely enveloped. The two were too fast, and their attacks were so terrifying that only two shadows could be seen colliding in the sky. After dozens of moves, the gray-robed old man was furious. Get lost. The gray flood dragon on his body roared into the sky, and in an instant, it transformed into hundreds of thousands of miles long, suppressing the void, wanting to completely shatter Lin Xin. This power was too strong. Invincible kings could not block it, but Lin Xin blocked it. The 9-yang divine body bloomed with light, like a golden god of war. He blocked it? The gray-robed old man's face turned ugly. What kind of body refinement technique was this? Why had he never heard of it? I must get this body refinement technique. The gray-robed old man's eyes lit up. He formed a seal with his palms, and the gray flood dragon above his head bloomed with divine power and rushed down. With a bang, it collided with Lin Xin's body. Lin Xin was knocked back, the blood qi in his body churning, and the 9-yang divine body almost split open. Damn it, this old man is too strong. 9-yang divine sword. He used the 9-yang sword technique to contend with it. The biting cold sword qi blocked the gray flood dragon once again. But the old man opened his mouth and spat out a palace. The palace grew larger and larger, standing in the void, and was dilapidated. Although it was dilapidated, the divine power on it was even more terrifying than the gray flood dragon. Chapter 30:25. There were many mysterious runes on it. At this moment, they were emitting a dazzling light. When those runes appeared, heaven and earth trembled. The void within millions of miles started to boil. Oh no, these are the runes of a sage. Lin Xin's pupils constricted. He had seen these runes before, and now he saw them again. This time, the runes of a sage were much more powerful than the ones he had seen before. Obviously, it was left behind by an ancient sage. This was a very terrifying thing that had surpassed a half-sage artifact. In the sky, the runes on the broken palace flickered. There was even a hazy figure floating inside, as if it was the ruler of the heavens. Suppress. The gray-robed elder sneered and formed a seal with his palms. In the sky, countless sage runes fell and suppressed the 9-yang sword technique. In fact, there were even a few runes that caused cracks to appear on Lin Xin's body. However, the 9-yang divine body was so powerful that it instantly recovered. This scene shocked the gray-robed elder. Soon, he sneered again. Kid, so what if you have a powerful physical body? Watch me destroy your soul. He formed another seal with his palms. The gray flood dragon in the sky dragged the broken ancient palace and emitted an even more terrifying aura. In the ancient palace, a hazy figure appeared. The figure opened its eyes with a whoosh. Suddenly, divine light sprinkled down from the sky. This was a killing blow to the soul. As expected, Lin Xin felt a strong impact on his soul, as if it was about to be torn apart. Heavenly secret divine eyes. A golden eye appeared and blocked the mysterious figure in the ancient palace. He blocked it? The gray-robed elder was shocked. He did not expect Lin Xin to have such a terrifying soul and eye technique. In his opinion, he should first use the soul attack in the ancient palace to severely injure Lin Xian's soul. Then, he would summon Lin Xian's soul and search it. That way, he would be able to obtain Lin Xian's secrets. However, he did not expect Lin Xian to block it. Soul attack? Have a taste of mine. Lin Xian snorted. A crescent moon appeared in his left eye. Buzz. As soon as the moon's soul appeared, it emitted a terrifying light that streaked across the void. The hazy figure in the mysterious ancient palace trembled and cracks appeared. Not good. The gray-robed old man's expression changed drastically. He retreated continuously and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with shock. What was that? Moon Soul. Damn it. You're from the House of Prodigies. Who are you? The gray-robed elder was stunned. He didn't expect his opponent to use Moon Soul so quickly. This should be the power of the Full Moon Peak. But who was it? The prodigies of Full Moon Peak were no match for him. Unless it was the top few. Huangfu Beitian? Or Heimo? No, you are not the Black Demon. It is said that the Black Demon has a monstrous demonic aura, as if he is the Demon King. Could it be that you're Huangfu Beitian? The gray-clothed old man gnashed his teeth in anger. Huangfu Beitian was the #1 disciple of the Full Moon Peak. He was incomparably mysterious and would only appear in very few competitions. Who could have thought that the other party would actually make his way here? You actually know about the Full Moon Peak? Lin Xian was also surprised. He didn't expect Full Moon Peak to be so famous. He had only used Moon Soul, and the other party had already recognized it. But unfortunately, the other party was still wrong. He wasn't the Black Demon, nor was he Huangfu Beitian. Unfortunately, I'm not Huangfu Beitian. What? You're not Huangfu Beitian. Then who are you? This time, the gray-robed elder was even more shocked. When did such a terrifying prodigy come to the Full Moon Peak? Why didn't he know? Since you're not Huangfu Beitian, then don't blame me for killing you mercilessly. The gray-robed elder wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and a piercing cold light burst out from his eyes. Kill me? You don't have that ability. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and his golden eyes became even brighter. At the same time, a dragon's roar came from his body, and dragon-shaped sword chi appeared, enveloping all directions. Buzz. Activating the God's Eye of Weather, Moon Soul, and the Soul Ignition secret technique quickly rushed forward. Not good. Sensing the terrifying soul attack, the gray-robed elder's pupils constricted. He hurriedly used the broken ancient palace to block in front of him. At the same time, he ordered the gray flood dragon beside him to attack. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly, and his body was covered in flames. Like a god, he rushed out with the killing sword in his hand. The 9-yang sword art was bold and powerful, and the terrifying sword chi was vast and mighty. The broken ancient palace trembled, and cracks appeared on it. Roar! The huge gray flood dragon charged over like a demon. It was as if it was a peerless beast with shocking power. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and raised his hand to send out a dragon-shaped sword chi to contend with the gray flood dragon. The two collided, and a shocking shockwave burst out. Everywhere it passed, the void collapsed, and nothing could stop it. The gray-robed elder was shocked. How could his opponent have such powerful strength? First, it was his physique, then his soul eye technique, and now his sword technique was so strong, it could block his king's domain. Fortunately, he had a simple and dilapidated ancient palace. Otherwise, he would have been struck by those soul eye techniques. Damn it, who was this kid? Apart from Huangfu Beitian and the Black Demon, there was someone so powerful on the Full Moon Peak? He thought of Xueling, Yifei, and the others. But Xueling was a woman, and Yifei specialized in flying daggers, while the other party specialized in sword techniques. Therefore, after thinking about it, he realized that the top prodigies of the Full Moon Peak did not match the person in front of him at all. Boom! At this moment, an earth-shattering sound made the elder's eyelids twitch. He no longer wanted to know the other party's identity, and his face became extremely ugly. The dilapidated ancient palace that he had summoned was split open. The sword was shattered, and a huge crack appeared, trying to tear the entire ancient palace apart. The terrifying demon-like phantom inside also slowly disappeared. Puff! The gray-robed elder suffered a backlash, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood as he kept retreating. The broken ancient palace flew back into his body, and Lin Xian walked up with the killing sword again. Damn brat, you actually managed to break my ancient palace. The gray-robed elder's face was ugly. He flipped his hand, took out 2 red pills, and swallowed them. A surge of energy erupted from his body and healed his injuries. At the same time, his eyes became even colder. It seems that you're a great enemy. I can't let you stay here today. As he spoke, the black dragon was sent flying by the sword chi and returned to his side. The gray-robed elder opened his mouth again and spat out a black chariot. The chariot had a ferocious ghost face painted on it, and it was extremely terrifying. As soon as it appeared, it carried a destructive aura. Fuse. With a furious roar, the black chariot and the gray dragon fused, releasing light and turning into a dragon chariot. Go to hell, brat. The dragon chariot emitted streaks of black light, each of which was thousands of miles long. It was extremely terrifying. In the end, the black light that filled the sky turned into a black river that descended from the sky. Chapter 3026. Lin Xian was shocked. He didn't expect the other party to have such a trump card. The Gray Flood Dragon was the other party's king domain, and this black war chariot should also be a great Dharma treasure. The runes on it were also the work of a saint. The combination of the two was truly terrifying. Where did this old man come from? He didn't know. However, Lin Xian was still filled with killing intent. If they wanted to compete with their trump cards, then so be it. The Moon Soul was once again struck out by him, but this time, the Black Flood Dragon War Chariot was too powerful. Even the Moon Soul only blocked it for a moment and didn't completely repel it. This scene made the gray-robed elder laugh out loud. Kid, it seems that your Moon Soul isn't that powerful. It seems that you should be at full moon peak not long ago. Since that's the case, you can die now. The Black War Chariot charged over like a god of death, causing the entire world to boil. Bang! Lin Xian slapped out, and the golden palm exploded, sending the Black War Chariot flying. He had taken a fancy to this thing, so he didn't plan to break it. Buzz! He used his extreme speed, and the sword chi on his body soared into the sky as he charged towards the gray-robed elder. The sword chi surged and circled above Lin Xian's head, forming 10,000 dragons. After superimposing, they turned into the 10,000 dragons diagram. It pressed down from the sky. This scene was simply too realistic. The dragon roar sounded, and the sword chi soared into the sky. When the gray-robed elder saw this scene, he screamed, 10,000 dragons diagram. Damn it, this is the emperor weapon of the nest of 10,000 dragons. How could you? You're from the dragon race. He was scared silly. With a boom, he was sent flying. His body was pierced by dozens of sword chi, and bloody holes appeared one after another, making the old man look miserable. No, it's not an extreme weapon. He came back to his senses. If it was really an extreme weapon, a wisp of its aura would be enough to kill him completely. But now, he was only seriously injured. Who exactly are you? You can actually evolve the 10,000 dragons diagram. The gray-robed elder gritted his teeth. The person who killed you. Lin Xian didn't answer at all. The sword chi on his body surged again, and the 10,000 dragons diagram transformed into a bronze cauldron that descended from the sky. The Celestial Emperor's Cauldron. The gray-robed elder was scared out of his wits once again. He was almost scared silly. Celestial Emperor Yi was an extremely terrifying great emperor who had swept through the universe. It was not just the people of the true spirit world who had heard of it. The other planets and realms all knew of his legend. They naturally recognized the Celestial Emperor Cauldron. Who was that kid? Could it be that he was a descendant of the Emperor clan? It could actually evolve into an extreme weapon. He was going crazy. That was because while he could simulate the appearance of an extreme Dao weapon, the power of the weapon was something that he could not see clearly. However, the Celestial Emperor Cauldron in front of him was truly incomparably vast, suppressing all realms. That biting cold aura almost scared him out of his wits. He frantically drove the Black Dragon War Chariot, wanting to rush back and rescue him. However, how could Lin Xian let him have his way? He reached out his left hand, which seemed to have turned into a golden crow, cutting off the void and blocking the flood dragon chariot. On the other side, Lin Xian frantically activated the Celestial Emperor's cauldron to suppress Yi Fuyan. In the end, the gray-robed elder was defeated by Lin Xian. His body was reduced to ashes, and his soul was also pierced by the sword qi. Don't kill me. You can't kill me. I'm from the Sirius Star. If you kill me, you're dead meat. Before he could finish speaking, Lin Xian killed him. He had never heard of the Sirius Star. So what if he had heard of it? He even dared to kill the geniuses of the ancient royal family, let alone the Sirius Star. Lin Xian did not care at all. After killing the old man, Lin Xian stared at the black war chariot in the sky. Since the gray-robed elder was dead, the flood dragon also disappeared. However, the war chariot still stayed in midair. The aura it emitted was very terrifying. The black war chariot was even more terrifying than a half-step sage artifact. It was indeed a treasure. Lin Xian was delighted. With it, it would be much more convenient for him to fly. Moreover, it could also attack. The Black Earth was now more of a storage ring, and it had the same function as cultivation. Therefore, Lin Xian wanted to use the Black War Chariot as an offensive Dharma treasure. The soul imprint of the gray-robed elder was left on the Black War Chariot. It was very terrifying. However, under the erosion of the heavenly secret divine eyes, Lin Xian successfully subdued the Black War Chariot a day later. Then, he looked at the gray-robed elder again. After the gray-robed elder died, all that was left was a storage ring. The dilapidated ancient palace in his body also shattered into pieces. This made Lin Xian feel a little regretful. He put away the old man's storage ring and turned to look at the sword traversal grass. This time, he could finally collect it. No one would be able to disturb him anymore. Lin Xian began to collect the sword traversal grass. On the other side, there was a huge uproar on Full Moon Peak. The top geniuses of the Moon Palace had returned. Yuan Kuei and Lu Yanin had also returned. The moment they returned, they brought a piece of shocking news. Lin Xian had comprehended the moon's spirit, and he did so in 2 hours. When the news came out, the entire Full Moon Peak went crazy. Those monsters came out of seclusion one after another. What? Comprehending the moon's spirit in 2 hours? Don't joke around. Are you idiots? Even the Hayamo had comprehended it for a month. 2 hours? Water must have entered your brain. Whoever believed this was an idiot. These people did not believe it. However, there were also some people who believed it. Because Lu Yanin was also there. Lu Yanin was a super genius ranked 9th on Full Moon Peak. How could her words be false? However, 2 hours was too shocking. These people still could not accept it. Not only Full Moon Peak, but the people of the other 3 peaks were also discussing this matter. Have you heard? That Lin Xian comprehended the moon's spirit in 2 hours. 2 hours? You believe such a joke? That's right. Hayamo had comprehended it for a month. How could 2 hours be possible? It must be a rumor. Ignore it. These people also shook their heads. Lin Xian did not know that his comprehension of the moon's spirit in 2 hours had caused a huge uproar in the House of Extraordinary Warriors. At this moment, he stood up with a smile on his face. Although his face was pale, his eyes were extremely bright, because he had successfully subdued the sword-shaped grass. The great dragon sword spirit had swallowed the powerful sword qi on the grass, causing his strength to increase again. The grayish grass withered and turned into ashes, vanishing into thin air. Lin Xian was about to leave, but at the next moment, he exclaimed softly. He waved his hand, and a strong storm blew away the dust around him. He found something under the grayish grass. He walked over carefully and used his finger like a sword. A few sword qi swept across, and the ground cracked. This is? Lin Xian was surprised. He found a huge stone tablet under the grass. There were sword marks on the tablet. There were 13 sword marks in total. This is? Lin Xian took a look and his body trembled slightly. It was as if his entire body was pierced by the sword qi. How terrifying. 13 sword marks. How could it be so powerful? How many tens of thousands of years had passed? Chapter 3027. Lin Xian was shocked. No wonder the grass could condense such a powerful sword qi. It was growing on the stone tablet. The 13 sword scars seemed to be left behind by a set of sword techniques. Lin Xian began to comprehend and recreate the terrifying sword technique. He spent more than a month comprehending it. On the other side, the full moon peak was also bustling with noise and excitement. That was because the annual ranking was about to begin. These people were all monstrous geniuses, and the ranking was extremely important to them. Moreover, the ranking also determined whether they could comprehend the wordless mountain steel. Only the top 3 could comprehend it. Therefore, those top geniuses were all on steroids. Those who were ranked lower were also very excited. That was because there would be rewards for each ranking. Wang Fengfeng's rewards made these geniuses jealous. Who do you think will make it to the top 3 this time? Needless to say, the top 3 rarely changed. You know how terrifying Huangfu Beitian, who was ranked first, was? Who would dare to challenge Heimo, who was ranked second? As for Schwelling and Yifei, it might not be certain. Schwelling's ice and Yifei's saber were indeed full of surprises. Wang Ji, who was ranked fifth, was also not to be underestimated. His sword technique was very terrifying. Discussions broke out one after another. All right, I remember that a few months ago, there was a newcomer who wanted to challenge Heimo. Are you talking about Lin Xian? Yes, it's him. He's the kid who stirred up the 9 heavy waves. I wonder how strong he is. That kid is just showing off. Although he's talented, how did his strength change so drastically in the past few months? I'm afraid he can't even make it to the top 10. Top 10? You think too highly of him. He might not even make it to the top 20. Some people sneered. This kid still dares to come? If he dares to come, our Lord Heimo can kill him with one slap. There was no need for a slap. Lord Black Demon could kill him with just a glance. If the first elder didn't stop him last time, that kid would have been seriously injured and probably wouldn't be able to come down for 8 to 10 years. Where there were people, there would be martial arts, and there would be factions. Heimo was powerful, and Full Moon Peak was ranked second. In addition, Full Moon Peak was ranked first and rarely appeared. It could be said that Heimo could basically crush all the young geniuses of Full Moon Peak. This caused many people to rely on him to survive. The geniuses who were sneering were all Heimo's subordinates. There was no need for Lord Heimo to make a move. A genius walked out. He had a purple horn on his head. When the youth appeared, everyone trembled. Unicorn King. It's him. He was ranked 20th. There were also people who retorted. That brat could even contend against Situ Xiaotian. You really don't have any chance of winning against him. As soon as these words came out, Situ Xiaotian was very displeased. Indeed, Fang Xingzhan's previous exchange with him had stunned him. 2. This genius was extremely frightening. The blue wings on his back were filled with mysterious runes. However, another piece of news soon spread out. How is this possible? The Sky Pride sucked in a cold breath. Yuan Kuei was ranked 15th. He was extremely powerful and even stronger than King Blue Wing. Impossible. King Blue Wing snorted. How could that kid defeat Yuan Kuei? Did any of you see it? Everyone fell silent when they heard this. It was said that the battle took place in the Moon Palace. Only the people of the Moon Palace saw it. Damn it. Why didn't I go to the Moon Palace that day? I actually missed such a battle. Some people regretted it very much. Heimo's people sneered. Stop bragging. It was impossible for that kid to defeat Yuan Kuei. Sure enough, when someone asked Yuan Kuei, he snorted coldly and didn't say anything. After all, it was a very embarrassing thing. He wouldn't admit it. Yuan Kuei's silence made this matter even more puzzling. Did you see that? Yuan Kuei didn't care at all. How could that kid defeat Yuan Kuei? He couldn't even make it into the top 20. Just wait. When he comes, I'll definitely kill him easily. The geniuses on Heimo's side were very arrogant. Days passed, and another half a month passed. There were still 3 days before the ranking competition began. However, Lin Xian hadn't come yet. Could it be that this brat had forgotten? He probably didn't know at all. What? That kid must be afraid. Let's see how he dies after offending Lord Heimo. They originally thought that he was a character, but they didn't expect him to be a coward who didn't even dare to come to the competition. Just a few months ago, he swore to provoke our Lord Black Demon. Does he even have the qualifications to do so? The geniuses under Hayamo sneered. Hayamo also came out of seclusion. When he heard the news, he snorted disdainfully. It was just an ant, not worthy of his attention. He only had one opponent this time, and that was Huangfu Beitian. At his position, he was already qualified to comprehend the moon-gazing wordless steel, but he was not satisfied. He was very ambitious. He wanted to obtain first place in the moon-gazing peak, and then comprehend the moon-gazing wordless steel. After defeating the North Demon and becoming first place in the extraordinary Scholar Mansion, he would enter the ancient starry sky path and kill in all directions. Hayamo wasn't the only one who came out. Xueling, Yifei, Wang Ji, and the others all came out. It was the same for Liu Yanan. She took a deep breath as she looked at the powerful figures. She wondered how terrifying those monsters in front of her would be this time. The other monstrous geniuses were also excited. However, there were also people who sighed. It was difficult. If one wanted to participate in the ranking competition, 50,000 Archean power was a barrier. One's strength had to reach 50,000 Archean power before they were qualified to participate in the ranking competition. That was indeed the case. Only the top 49 people on the moon-gazing peak ranking list. Other than these people, the others had to pass the test and obtain the qualifications to challenge the ranking competition. Otherwise, they wouldn't even have the qualifications to participate in the ranking competition. 50,000 Archean power was probably the top level of geniuses in the outside world. They could sweep through the human race. It was also an extremely powerful existence among the 10,000 ancient races. However, in the extraordinary Scholar Mansion, it was only the upper level. It wasn't even the top. For example, Yifei, Xueling, and the others were definitely above 55,000 Archean power. Hayamo should be even higher. There was also the first place, Huangfu Beitian, who was rumored to be above 60,000 Archean power. However, no one knew what level he had reached. Perhaps in this competition, only Hayamo could make Huangfu Beitian take him seriously. Another day passed. On this day, many people had obtained the qualifications. Among them, there were some new geniuses who had also obtained the qualifications. There were geniuses from the nest of 10,000 dragons, as well as those from the divine Emperor Spirit and the Fire Spirit Cave. These Archean geniuses were not of the core bloodline, so they took the path of the extraordinary Scholar Mansion. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.